Hey,
Okay,
everybody,
good.
we are live on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Edie Sellers, GameHounds podcast. We've got, we got Andrew, we got Nick. We are getting ready for the show. And
Don't
hey,
forget Shepard.
and Shepard. Don't forget. You know what Shepard is thinking right now? Shepard is thinking you need to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. You want to do that right now. That way you know when we go live every single week when we're here on Sundays. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to let Nick and Andrew take it away because, those guys, because I got to
Take
write
what
some
away?
stuff.
Oh, I
Whatever.
was gonna
Talk
look.
about
I was
whatever
gonna
you
look
were
up
going to talk
new
about.
things.
Talk about whatever you were going to talk about because I have to write some banners for myself because I never
Okay.
do that and I'm sorry for it later. So I'm doing that this week. Also, if you ever want to support this show, Patreon, GameHounds, thank you so much for our patrons. Big love, big hearts for you. Thank you, patrons, for being part of the show. I consider you kind of like the fourth chair. So thank you. So anyway, what were you about to say about whatever you were about to say, Shepard?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
oh
Sorry, go ahead.
no.
I'm just pretty
I-
sure Shepard and your cats are going to be responsible for like 20 to 40% of the viewer base for the podcasts.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty much.
Podcasts. My bad.
Actually,
Yeah,
I like
it really
podcasts.
should be Game Cats and not Game Hounds right now, because there's a lot more cats than hounds
on screen. The Jupiter, the diaper cat, is in the living room napping.
Oh,
So I don't know if he will make an appearance.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hello, Ryan Stevenson, Richard Newton, Eric Baker, Kaz M. Hi,
hello
hi all.
everyone. What was I going to say? I completely forgot already. Oh, Edie, speaking of GameHounds, did you by chance see the picture on PlayStation that I sent you?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll get into it, but I'm doing stuff on Warframes, and you get your own personal ship, and I named it the SS Zoe in honor of the original Gamehound. So,
Aw.
Yep. Here's little Zet Gamehound who is sitting on my my mantle, my fireplace mantle, right over there.
unfortunately, I couldn't play in the clan
left
emblem on the ship,
Uh-huh.
which was really upsetting. So I just bought like a dog emblem and threw that up.
That's just as good.
Yeah, I know, but like the GameHounds like symbol is really cool, and I love that you made it for Warframe at the very beginning. And I always rep it on my cat, or at least somewhere while I'm playing.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad. I was looking at him. I think it's funny that he didn't used to sit up there. It's only since I've been working from home for a while that I'll sit in the cat room with the window open, and so the cats always want to hang out in here with me while I'm working. And so Jupiter, just kind of being the more dominant one, always takes the cat tree right in front of the window. Like he's claimed that spot has his own.
Yeah.
So Shepard still wants, he still wants to sit by the window and look out, and this back of the chair is like the closest he can come to the cat tree. So he's just taken up, this is his new residence, is behind my head.
You sure he just doesn't want to like be in the camera shot at all times? Like,
Yeah, because he's often there while I'm working, like during the weekday. He'll sit up there. So I've just got to be careful not to like lean back very suddenly.
Oh, you should totally lean back suddenly right now.
No, because he will go like with his claws out. I have enough cat scratches on me.
an AC Wraith that is cool, definitely, despite being on console.
So yeah, we got Eric Baker in the house. We got Richard Newton. Hey, Richard. I don't recall seeing you before, or I could just have a really bad memory. Got Ryan Stevenson. We got Kaz. Of
I
course,
have one more shirt to show you. I'll be right back.
AC Wraith, our link bitch. Yep. Shut up. No, Siri. Quiet.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Well, then don't. AC. Every time I mentioned AC Wraith, Siri opens up. Shut up.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about
Shut up.
Why don't, you can just turn her off, right?
Well, I use her all the time.
Oh.
Since we haven't really started yet, this is the other shirt my friend got me, and it's D&D Cats, and I love it.
I like that too.
Yes, it's fantastic.
All right. Let's see. Now I've got to do the show notes for actually starting the show.
Man, it's weird. I don't have anything to talk about that's not game related, and I'm trying not to say that till we're actually starting.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I will say on Hulu, there's a new show that I've been watching that is just absolutely fucking weird, and I love it. It's called Crossing Swords, and it's from the producers of Robot Chicken, which normally, like, from the producers of is kind of a meaningless distinction. But in this case, it's good to just have Robot Chicken in the back of your mind because it's another stop motion animated show. But it's done with like wooden Playmobil characters, like little
Oh, I remember
little
those.
wooden blocks with like ping pong balls for heads.
Oh, okay.
And so, but it's not a skit show. It's a fantasy parody show. And so you have this guy who wants to be the squire for the king, and he accomplishes that, but then he realizes that the kingdom is just all sorts of fucked up, and no one gives a shit, and so he's constantly like, the one straight man in a kingdom full of idiots, and it's just the fun that comes from that. But it's a weird show. I really love it just because it's kind of that combination of like animation with just random fantasy humor. I find really funny. I'm really enjoying it. It's like a good, I'm gonna chill out and relax and just sit down and watch something fun show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching something that is completely the opposite of that. They have posted on Amazon Prime. You know what Great Courses are?
Mm-hmm.
What Great Courses is? It's a series of like courses, history, English, and pretty much any course that you want. There's these essentially lecture series. And I am watching a 24-part lecture series. So it's 24 episodes on the history of the Black Plague and how it changed everything. And I kind of started watching it because, like, yeah, kind of sort of interesting. Why not? It was late night. I was trying to watch something that was, like half hour long. Perfect. Right before I go to bed. Utterly fascinating. I binged watched that all yesterday, and I am still not. I'm just barely halfway through. It is fucking how the Black Plague changed everything, including our DNA. The Black Plague changed our DNA, which is mind-blowing to me that there's actually DNA that they can trace back to the Black Plague and people that survived the Black Plague, because it has been found that 10 to 20% of people, I don't know if you knew this, but there are a certain amount of people that are actually genetically immune to the HIV virus.
I didn't.
No, there is a particular group of people that are resistant, not immune, but resistant to the HIV virus. 15 to 20% of those people have a particular gene sequence in their DNA that comes from Europe, that they've traced back to Europe and people who have survived the Black Plague. And it's making them think that there was more than one plague going on, that the Black Plague wasn't just the bubonic plague. There might have been other things going on simultaneously, one of them being a hemorrhagic fever that was very similar to HIV, similar enough that it created a change in the DNA, or it selected out people that had this DNA chain that actually was able to propagate because of the death of so many people in Europe, was able to propagate and get amplified so that it's actually can be seen in your DNA here all these years later, from the 1300s to the 2020s. People are still being born with this DNA strand that actually helps them be resistant to the HIV virus. Crazy.
That's cool.
So yeah, there it is.
What's
Thank
this?
you, AC Wraith. You found the link for that. It is dry. It's not dry. It's actually really interesting, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's like sitting through a lecture.
Yeah,
There's
it has to be the right lecture.
Oh yeah. And she's really, really good talking about how, like, imagining that it's kind of like The Walking Dead, and there's whole it's broken up into different aspects of it. One of them being like the morality, that all the different kinds of ways that people reacted to the plague, knowing that it was coming and not knowing what to do about it, and praying. And some people got super, super, super religious. Some people got super, super, super helpful. Some people got super, super not helpful and isolated themselves. Some people got like totally austere and started repenting. Some people were like, fuck it, we're all gonna die, and had hedonistic orgies. It's because in a lot of ways, it's kind of what people are doing now.
I think I saw a meme about that last one. He's like, where are the orgies at with the COVID?
Yep. Second person cured of HIV thanks to stem cell transplant. Yep. And
Yeah,
it
that's
has
cool.
to do with that little gene sequence that's traceable back to the survivors of the Black Plague.
I remember reading that like a while ago. It's pretty interesting.
Not much, pissed. We haven't even actually started the show. So, yeah. All right. This is just the pre-show. So you want to start the real show?
Sure.
Yeah.
Although I would just say, since you have Prime, I
Yes.
don't know if you saw it in theaters. You need to watch Knives Out. It
I've
was
seen-
just
yes,
released
seen it
on
there.
Prime.
Yeah, it was released on Prime. Is it? Yeah, it's worth it.
Oh, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I've been wanting to
It's
see
so
that.
good.
Because we're coming
just-
to the end of Parks and Recreation. We're getting close to the end.
It's the kind of movie that you come away with just going like, damn, that was good.
Okay. All right. We'll watch it. And we don't watch movies. We watch shows.
Shows. You will appreciate this movie.
I'll make a point of it then. It'll be the next thing we pick up after we catch up on Killing Eve and what else?
I still gotta watch.
I think
I
we
wanna
have a
watch
couple of
that.
episodes of Westworld to go.
I also
I've
want to
only-
start that.
I've only
Westworld
seen like
is-
episode 1 of
See-
Westworld.
I've seen the first 2 seasons and they're very good. I just need to
They're really
binge the
good.
third one.
The third one is really good.
I gotta
Really?
get through it.
Really, really good.
I'm still working my way through Black Flag. Finished season 3. At the end, starting season 4. Fuck that show.
What show?
Black Flag. No, Black Sails. Black
Oh,
Sails.
Black Sails. Okay.
The pirate one. It's kind of like a prequel to Treasure Island, but like, very gritty. Just the politicking, the escalation of shit that everyone goes through. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick that one up. That's going to be the next big series we do.
Um,
Because if we could do Vikings almost all the way up, I mean, at a certain point it jumped the shark and we were
Vikings
like,
is on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you
Vikings is very good.
oh,
up
you
into
have
a
seen
po-
it.
Up into a point, and then it
Okay.
just gets bad.
Well, if you're looking for a series,
Once Ragnar dies, it's not any good. And
Okay,
then it's all just
spoilers.
downhill.
I know, jeez.
Now you know when to stop watching.
One show that I've heard good things about, especially in comparison to Black Sails on Netflix, is The Last Kingdom.
Oh, I've been hearing that's good.
Yeah,
That's-
I've heard a lot of good things about it. My dad loves it. I really want
Really?
to get into it.
Because
Yeah,
I watched the first episode and I'm like, this is kind of amateur.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, and definitely like marathoning Homeland. I've heard good things about Last Kingdom, so that's one that's on my list. But marathoning Homeland. Homeland is interesting. After season 3, I thought it kind of went down, but I think 4 was a good one because it kind of had to reinvent itself after. The first season is the best, I think. Like, no contest, first season is great. Then it kind of whiffled and waffled.
All right, I'm going to go get some water.
Okay, get some water.
Water. And I will be right back. Then we will start the show. So keep talking television.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I need someone to recommend like a good sitcom, because I finished Community through Netflix and I'm almost done with Crossing Swords.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Have you seen it?
I'm almost done with Brooklyn Nine-Nine too.
Okay.
I've heard good things about Superstore, because that's also on Hulu, and so I've wanted to watch that.
I watched a couple episodes of it. I wasn't super into it, but I could see.
Okay.
Like,
I
how it could be
know
good.
New Girl's also on Netflix, and I want to see that. The Ranch. Okay, I might start The Ranch. Yeah, part of me wants to go back to Malcolm in the Middle because it's on Hulu, and I remember
Corey
really
Wallace.
liking that show. Corey Wallace, we'll get to that.
I don't want to say anything about it because I know what Corey's going to do and what Corey's going to say.
Oh, we'll say that once we get into the games we played.
I love your cat, Nick. Just always seeing the paw come out from the bottom of the camera and like trying to touch your face.
Yeah,
I
the
can
fact
try
that he's
to
like,
angle it down.
Yeah. Oh,
he's like, I
But-
love Nick so much. God, I love this guy.
that's so cute. Oh,
Yeah, you get to see my hamper in the back and the robe hanging off the door that Jupiter likes to climb.
Oh, there's a happy cat.
right.
Yep.
Shepard makes me want to
Okay,
get a cat. Kevin would kill me. Kevin would kill me if I brought a cat home.
Really?
Oh,
He
God.
doesn't like cats?
It's not that he doesn't
Okay,
like cat.
hi,
It's
hi.
has only had one cat, which was the cat that I got before him.
Mm-hmm.
And that cat didn't really bond to him. I mean, she was my cat. And so that cat never really and then we actually take it back. Then
like
we had
him
another
and
cat
everyone
who was
else.
just an asshole. Tonka was a dick. Tonka was a huge, colossal asshole. He walked into the house and it's like, all this shit is mine. And he proceeded to beat up on my other cat, beat up on us. It was kind of neat because he would fetch balls, but that's about the only cool thing that Tonka did.
All right. So what you need to
Such a
do
dick.
is not get a new cat, Edie, but to lure one into your house with food and just be like, well, it's staying now. Like,
No.
No, what we need to do is
No.
just get a kitten and raise it, because
Yes.
then it'll
Be
grow
his
up with
kitten.
you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Remember when I
no.
first found Shepard, he was a kitten.
Yeah. Having a kitten is that's where you want to start. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie. All right. But let's start the show. You ready?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Video games, modern culture, and technology. And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
I actually heard that.
All right. Mics are hot.
I thought I could take a quiet sip of coffee. Turns out I can't.
Do you not understand what mics are hot means, dude? Mics are hot. Welcome to GameHounds. This is GameHounds.
I
episode
understand exactly what it means. The
500
question is not, do I understand? The question is, do I care?
You're totally quiet. I say mics are hot, and then you start talking. GameHounds episode 549. It is June 14th, 2020. I'm Edie Sellers, the big chatty one who can't keep his fucking pie hole shut is Nick DiNicola. And the nice one who's just amused by this whole thing is Andrew Smith. How you guys doing?
I just want to highlight, like, completely out of context. Pissed says my cat has a biting fetish.
Your cat, well, that's called scragging. Officially, it's
My
actually
cat.
called-
That's Pissed, his cat in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
His
It's
cat
called
does.
scragging. That's wwhy you never let a kitten scrag. Once you
And,
let a
like,
kitten
play with your
scrag, they
hand,
will
where you go like,
always
"Grr,
play with their hands. It
grr,
goes
grr,
because when
grr."
they're really adorable and then they grow up to be a cat and then they
See, I did that with my
never
cat.
let a cat scrag.
I let my cat do it all the time, and she just naturally stopped when she got older. She didn't want to hurt
That
anyone.
is rare.
Hmm.
That is rare. I had one house, kind of a roommate for like 6 months at one point when I had my cat, and I never scragged with her as a kitten ever, 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 ever. And then the housemate scragged with her, and Bella never forgot it. She never really actively tried to like initiate a scrag, but if you actually put your hand out like that, like the claw out towards her, she'd be like, "Oh, it's on." Like she remembered it from 10 years ago that somebody did that with her and it was awesome and I'm going to do it again. It's like, oh God, she wrecked my cat. That's what she did.
See, I did it all the time. My hand was totally scarred up and everything. And then just one day she was just like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
That's no longer fun.
It is
Yeah,
absolutely a thing that is, most cats don't do that.
I made the mistake of doing that with Shepard when he was a kitten. And then as he got older, I would have to change to basically wear a sweater and hide my hand inside the sleeve and then do it as like a glove. And then when he still got older and I was like, no, that still hurts, I just stopped. I just stopped doing it, and he eventually, like, if I do it now, he'll probably get into it, but he won't initiate it.
Right.
Which is good because, yeah, it will fucking hurt.
Well, I see him still trying to bite you. He wants you to scrag with him.
Yeah. And when he does that, I'll get a toy and like stick that in its place and play with him like that.
Yeah.
That's what I've basically done. It's like I've come to just replace my hand with the toy.
Right. Or
better
the
yet,
other
I've
option
got-
is never scrag with your kitten so you never have that problem. They
True.
will
Or
never miss it.
Just get the toy that I have where it's a glove that has little mice dangling from the fingers and just do that over his head.
It's just
Like a puppet show.
perpetuating it. It's just perpetuating it. Anyway.
So I'm going to be on the side of doing it.
This is not a
This
cat
is Cat
behavior
Hounds.
channel. Cat
No.
hounds. We're not talking about
Yeah,
games.
game cats.
Yeah,
Game cats.
Game cats. No, more like cat hounds because we're not talking about games.
That's
we're talking
true.
about cats.
Yeah.
So now we're moving to dogs.
Yeah.
This is a podcast. Podcat.
Podcast.
Okay.
Agreed. So, games. What kind of games you been playing, guys?
I'll just very quickly. I'll just say I've been playing more Final Fantasy 15. Now that my subscription to 14 expired, I got back into 15. I'm really enjoying it. Going through the story. I recently just got the ability to summon, and the way that game works, because it's basically an open world, and so just imagine your character running through an open world. Think of what's it good like Breath of the Wild. Think like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption. Think of your cowboy walking through a field and you get to a buffalo, and it's like a buffalo that's the size of a 2-story building, and you're fighting it, and suddenly you get this ability to summon. So imagine like in Red Dead, this like huge god, lightning god with like a long beard, like one of those old Chinese martial arts masters. He appears with this giant lightning staff, literally towering over you in the horizon. You look up at the sky and he blocks out the sun, and he floats up with his staff, and he takes it and he jams it into the ground in front of you, and all of the ground for like 200 feet in a circle around you just explodes in lightning and fire and just obliterates anything in the area. And then you're unhurt because you summoned him. And then as he fades away, the environment around you is literally just on fire and just kind of flaming and smoldering, and then that kind of slowly fades and all the green comes back. But like it feels apocalyptic, like the way these summons work and the way that they're integrated into this open environment. The sky literally darkens. As you gain the ability to summon, like the sky gets dark, lightning starts coming down, like little almost like motes of ball lightning start kind of appearing, and it feels like this grand apocalyptic thing, which it is, because I was fighting a very difficult enemy at one point, like as a side quest. I spent a good 15 minutes hacking away at this giant elephant's foot, and got it down to like it had 2/3 health left. I took off 1/3 of its health in about 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm surviving, I'm doing damage. It'll be a long fight, but I can do this. Got the ability to summon. That guy came down and smashed, and he just instantly killed the elephant. So that 15 minutes of work, he did twice that in an instant, and it was fantastic. I don't actually know what triggers the summon, because sometimes as I'm in a fight, it will just say, like, pop up, hold L2 to summon, and I'll do that, and then, yeah, the guy comes down. But I'm not sure what triggers that in the fight. I think maybe it's on some sort of timer, like if a fight goes on for a certain amount of time, then I gain that ability, or something along those lines. But it's not something I have at my disposal all the time. So when I get to do it, it's really fucking cool.
Summons have always been one of my favorite things in Final Fantasy games, just because they're
Yeah.
usually so over the top and awesome.
If you're Googling a video, Google Final Fantasy 15 Rama summon. Ramuh.
Yeah. I think it's Ramu.
Ramu? Okay.
Yeah. I've always pronounced the names of all the summons terribly since I was a kid, so...
I know Ifrit, Shiva, Leviathan. I always thought just Rama. Odin is pretty obvious. Most of them
Yeah.
are pretty obvious. But yeah, that's cool, and I'm still enjoying that game. It's an interesting, chill, like road trip of a fantasy adventure, and I still find it weird to play a game in which people wielding swords and magic are also talking about how souped up their car is. Like, oh man, this car is awesome. Oh, I also put monster truck wheels on my car, and now it can jump. So, yeah.
I mean, you need to have hobbies, even when you have magic and can summon gods.
Everybody needs rims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They spinning.
These rims are the size of me.
Man, you're going to make me buy this game the next time it's on sale, because it's dirt cheap whenever it goes on sale.
Is
For,
it?
like, the complete edition, it's like $15.
I ended up on the last big PlayStation sale, I ended up buying like the Royal Edition upgrade, because I had originally gotten the base game for Christmas like years ago and just never played it. But that I remember hearing that the way the story wrapped up in the base game was very poor. Like it went from like, you're going to the final boss, and then like you get to the boss, and there's like this gap in between that people were like, it feels like you really skipped some important story there. And I guess that they added DLC that filled that in. And so when I saw that upgraded was cheap, I picked that up. So I should be getting the improved edition of this as well.
Okay, see,
and Pist says it is on Game Pass too. So if you have Game Pass, people should pick it up. This is like the trial. It's not the actual summon. You can look around. I'll try to find it.
I've played like this before, like briefly, because my brother bought it, and I started it up, and I played like the first 15 minutes to hour of it, and it was mostly me just running around because I'm not going to follow the story yet, anyways.
I did that so much. I've done so many different side quests. I am way over leveled for the story quests.
I love being in that position where you just come in. It's like you look at them. You look at the enemies, and they just drop. It's like, get out of my way.
And what's even neater is
Mama's coming through.
Because of the way this game works, where you accumulate experience, but you don't actually bank it and get the credit for it until you rest. Now that I'm leveled up to be able to survive the night when like stronger monsters come out, I'm just going around doing quest, building up like 100,000 experience, in my wallet basically, and then going to rest at like a fancy hotel where I get a bonus of like 1.5. So it's like, oh, now I get 50,000 bonus experience and level up even more. So it's fun doing that.
By the way, AC Wraith may have put a helpful link in the chat.
Which one? That one?
Yeah, that's the for the summon. But
Hi there.
like I played up until like the first time it went nighttime, and then an Iron Giant like was there, and I was like level 5. The thing was like level 25.
Yeah.
And you can switch characters with the Royal Edition or like the DLC, where you couldn't when you first started playing. You were locked into Gnosis, right?
Yeah, Noctis. Yeah.
So you were kind of locked into playing him, but switching to other characters is almost a little overpowered because I switched to the guy with guns. And I remember fighting this like level 25 Iron Giant, level 30, and I'm level 5, and I'm just sitting in the background just shooting him from a distance.
Really?
He couldn't do anything, and it took forever, but I ended up killing this thing and just being like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't switch characters yet.
I don't
Until
think
I know how to
do
play.
that. Like that's an upgrade that I can get, but I don't have it yet. But I do know that you can give Noctis guns. Like every weapon that the other guys have, you can equip him with one if you find it. So I've tried playing around with some guns.
Okay, well that's terrifying.
Yeah, like this giant comes out, this hand comes out of nowhere, picks you up.
Gandalf, giant Gandalf.
Gandalf
Comes out of the
city.
So he picked you up, so you're safe, but the rest of your friends are just dead.
Right there.
Like it looks like the middle of a typhoon.
It looks like if Mass Effect met Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of like a Reaper. So now I'm really curious. I don't want to see a video of it, but I'm really curious what some of the other summons are, because if he's that cool,
well, I know Ifrit's in the game,
the others.
So
I assume like they've all got to be in the game.
Ifrit, the primal.
Yeah, I mean the Ifrit, the summons are through like all the Final Fantasy games. It's like the Moogle, the Chocobo. They're in every Final Fantasy.
I did
12. Good.
I did think it was kind of weird. Like in 14, they're all the primals and they're the enemies, and then in every other Final Fantasy, they're the summons that are basically on your side.
Just to be pedantic, except 12, where they were shifts, and they had a bunch of other summons that were nothing. Like they weren't in the series before.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, have you played 12?
I played it up to the end and never beat it, and then I bought it recently with the intention of replaying it.
That game was fun. The Gambit system was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Edie,
anything else, Nick, that you've played?
I mean, I want someone else to go first before we get into our late night MMO session last night.
Oh no.
And we're talking about, like, I was talking to Nick and go, wow, I'm really tired. And I go, what time is it? He says 3:30 a.m. It's like, oh, I gotta go to bed.
Then you went to bed and I kept playing until like 5.
Oh my God. Ooh. Shall we do this? Because it's just not going to be pretty in the chat room. The chat room is going to lose its mind.
Sure.
All right. There it is, guys.
So, yeah, we played ESO.
Yep, Elder Scrolls Online. I reloaded it onto my system, started up a whole 5th character.
How so many? Why so many? How?
That's how many times I've restarted it for people. I started it myself, and then I started it again for Andrew, and then I started it again for Corey because he got me back to it. And I mean, I've started it like 5 times. Again, this is the 5th.
So I will say this game feels like the opposite of Final Fantasy XIV in almost every conceivable way.
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying the fuck out of it. And the more I play, the more I'm like, oh shit, this is really cool. Because, so just right away, one of the things that bothered me about 14 is that it felt very restrictive. I chose my role as a Lancer, and it's like, you do damage with this weapon. That is what you do. You want to use magic? Fuck off. You want to use a sword? Fuck off. You want to do anything else? Fuck off. You got a lance and you do damage. This is what you're going to do. And as you level up, there's kind of this very linear system of upgrade where, hey, at level 5, I unlock this thing. At level 10, I get this thing. At level 15, I get this thing. But they're all kind of the same general move where it's like this combos into X, combos into Y. And so I'm going to use that XY combo all the time. XYZ, 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 A, every now and then, XYZ, A, XYZ, A. Elder Scrolls Online is the exact fucking opposite because I feel like it gave me 50 different possible things to upgrade and then says, okay, choose 2. And I'm like, okay, well, shit. Like right away, I start with 3 different skill trees of classes. There's like Assassin, Shadow, something, and I don't know, Thief, I think. And so each of those is a skill tree. And then as I've played, after, playing for a couple hours, I ended up unlocking skill trees for one-handed weapons and shields.
There's the inevitable comment. Corey Wallace says,
skill
"See,
tree. A skill tree for two-handed weapons.
Nobody likes people that say, 'I told you so.' Seriously."
A skill tree for light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. A skill tree for my race. A skill tree for bows. A skill tree for I can't even remember how many different skill trees I have available to me. And every time I level up, it's like, oh Jesus, this is crazy. But what's so cool about that is you can get abilities from any of those trees, and then you can start mixing and matching. And so what I've ended up doing, in complete opposite to the very restrictive, very role-based system of Final Fantasy XIV, I ended up mixing classes and abilities to create this heavy armor, broadsword wielding warrior who has a bunch of rogue stealth abilities and can go invisible. And that's such a that's a mix that I just came up with through the course of play. That very customizable mix of roles and abilities, and it feels very personal. It's like, hey, this is my character. This is who I created. It's not just the appearance, but how they work, how they play. And it's like, this is my guy. And it's really cool. Then the act of going around, just the addition of voice acting adds a lot to the game because it makes me want to pay attention to the minor side quest. It makes me want.
It adds gravitas to everything you do because it's actually easy for you to follow.
Yes,
it feels like you're really doing it for people as opposed to, avatars on a screen.
Yeah. And that said, I do also think the quest designs are just way, way better. There's a lot more thought involved in it. Basically, a lot of the one of the problems with Final Fantasy XIV is that you had a mix of bullshit quests of go here, kill 5 things, and come back. And then you had a mix of actually interesting little story quests. It's like, hey, I want to go do this thing, go talk to this guy, go talk to this guy. But they couldn't really distinguish one from the other until you asked someone. And so you ended up I ended up not caring about a lot of what I was doing because the ratio of bullshit to interesting leaned on the side of bullshit. And so eventually I just kind of lost interest. But in this one, the quest systems are very much like they are in an Elder Scrolls game, where you'll start with a very simple quest of hey, go kill this thing. And then you go kill those things. But then you come back and he's like, oh, you should go do this other thing instead. And it kind of increases and spirals out. It's a spiral. And I remember someone said this about Skyrim years ago, where the quests are like a spiral, where they start very simply and then they kind of expand and expand and expand in scope and in narrative. And like one of the quests that we ran into is we needed to find this rich dude's missing daughter. And it's like, okay, this seems like an easy quest. I got to go to a cave and find her. But what it actually turned out is like, no, she's hiding. So first I have to go talk to the people that would know where she is. Then I have to follow them as they trade like a message, a note in between each other. And so there's actually a little bit of stealth there. Then I have to talk to another guy, end up fighting, end up meeting her, and then it spirals out into this whole conspiracy of the political families of this town and this like assassination guild that kind of keeps all those houses in line. And like what feels like it would have been a simple quest of, go talk to some people, find out where the daughter is. Oh, I found her, quest done. Spiraled out of control into this whole family drama that we still didn't even really finish by the time 3:30 a.m. rolled around.
When I was literally falling asleep.
We had just hit a twist was like, oh shit, this just got even worse.
Yeah.
And spiraled out of control. And so I think the quest design is a lot better. I like
Corey Wallace says she's hiding with your kid you abandoned in Fable in the Oblivion portal.
Yeah. The one thing I don't like, and this just may be the town we started in, the major city of this area was like Vivek. It is confusing as fuck.
Yeah.
Especially since you play from like I'm watching this video that you're showing, and it's showing the camera very high up above the character, like an MMO. I don't know how to get that view on the PlayStation version. It's either first person or over the shoulder, Dead Space style camera. And so trying to navigate this town that's like, oh, go into this building and there's a hall. Just it's like, what the fuck is the Fighters Guild? I'm trying to find the Fighters Guild. I'm like, nope, that's a dead end. Nope, that's a dead end. No, that's a Tailor's Guild. What the fuck is a Tailor's Guild? Oh shit, I'm in the wrong building. Okay, well I'm gonna go to this other building that looks the exact same.
Yeah.
And it's so confusing. It's such a mess to run around in.
But we did find some serious bugs that are going on that has to do with the essentially the Thieves Guild. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah, the fence. We couldn't sell fenced items. Every time we tried, we got a UI error.
Right. Both Nick and I got it. So obviously they've got some kind of bug in there. We could launder everything, which is what we had to do. We had to launder everything and then sell it with the merchant. But still, it's kind of a pain in the ass when we just like to sell it. Also a waste of money.
Another thing on the downside, the other thing I don't like is the menu system. Like that Skyrim menu system where everything is on the left side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so restrictive and so like it's trying to cram all this information into a little tiny area. And especially because, it's throwing, I've got, 10 different skill trees and 8 abilities on each of those. Well, let me just scroll through. Okay, do. I want to sell something. Okay, what do I have to sell? It's God, it's such a shitty menu.
Hold down on the D-pad and the right stick and it'll zoom out.
Oh, down and right stick. Okay.
I think that's just because they were trying to fit an MMO into like the skin of Skyrim,
right?
And what they had developed for it. Like that's the reason why there's so many menus.
And like that system works really well because, like it said, Edie, after you left, I was playing by myself, and before you came in, I was playing by myself, and a lot of that feels like an Elder Scrolls game.
Yes, it definitely is an Elder Scrolls game.
It feels like something you can play by yourself and not necessarily lose some aspect of it. Because a lot of the interesting things is just the side quests are very well written, and the general exploration of the environment is really interesting. but then you can do it with a companion, and in a lot of ways, it feels like it's just multiplayer Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that was always the intention of it was to feel like multiplayer Skyrim, and you're definitely coming at it at a better time than I had when I first played it. Because when I first played it, if you didn't start in the same alliance, you not only didn't start in the same town, which is why I wanted to know what you were, what was your race, what was your alliance. If you were in a different alliance, which is one of the reasons why I had to start over a second character right at the beginning. I started out with two characters because in order to play with Andrew, I couldn't be my main character because we were on opposite alliances and I could not travel to his area. So I had to create one in his alliance. I had to create one in my alliance. I had to create, the alliance I started with, then somebody else's. You had to have like three different characters, and you couldn't level up any one of them. With more than one person, if you had a group of people, either that or you had to all agree to be in one alliance. Now you can travel wherever you want to.
It wasn't even limited to a choice of alliance. It was limited to the choice of race. Like, you had to be a specific race, and you started in a certain area. Kind of like in Final Fantasy XIV, when you start a starting class, or you choose one, you kind of start in that starting town.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, it was tied to race. So your character customization was limiting who you could play with.
So every race had its own starting area?
Every race,
no,
not
there was
every
chunks.
race. It was batches of races, but more importantly is that not only did you start in a different town, I couldn't even get to your town if you were in a different alliance because they would hate me. I couldn't even walk into the town because they would attack me.
Huh. See, when I was going through that, I was like, alliance? What the fuck does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this one sounds cool. But when you talk about it like that, it's like World of Warcraft where you've got Horde and the
Right.
other guys.
Right.
Yeah, and it was honestly really restrictive, but it was insulting because if you bought the collector's edition, you could choose any race and start anywhere. So
the Imperial, because that was an option that I saw that was like, oh, if you buy the upgrade, you can be Imperial, and that was an option in all of them.
Which is what I became. I became an Imperial.
Huh.
It left a bad taste in my mouth when I first played. I did not like it at all. Because my friend he chose a different character, a different race, and we couldn't play together, at all. And that sucks.
Yeah, that does seem really sucky, especially because, going back to the bad menu system, one thing Final Fantasy XIV definitely has over this is I think its menus are a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm choosing a character in that game, and I was choosing a class, it clearly said, if you choose this class, this is your starting area. It has a picture. This is the name of the city. This is a description of it. Like, it's all very, very clear. And this one is like, yeah, here, pick your alliance. What does the fuck does the alliance mean? Nothing, no information. Like, there's a little description, but it doesn't give me, stats or any explanation. Okay, what about the race? What does that do? It makes you a little better at magic. How much better? Because it seems like a lot of these guys are better at magic. Can you give me a number? No.
And I think the alliance it affects your PvP. So
right, that's where they moved it in the PvP and made that into a PvP section. So the alliance doesn't really matter if you don't do PvP. But at the beginning, it did. It affected your single player and multiplayer gameplay.
And one of the things that I think is weird about that, and I don't know if this is just a reaction of the version that I bought, but I ended up starting in the Morrowind area, which I know is the expansion, because Edie, you were saying that all the stuff you saw was new.
Yeah, I had not played Morrowind.
And so I don't think I've seen any of the quote-unquote main story because I started in the Morrowind expansion, so I'm just going through that story. But I had no idea that that's where I was starting. I just chose a race, I chose an alliance, I chose other things, and then I hit start. And it's like, okay, you're on a slave ship, and then you're, in Mushroom Land. It's like, okay. I didn't realize this is where I was starting. It's cool. I'm not necessarily complaining.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
How? I didn't know. And yeah, it's like, oh, you started in the expansion.
Well, I know after year one, they redid the entire opening of the game. Like you were no longer starting in specific areas if you're choosing a
Okay.
race, and I think everyone started together. I'm not sure exactly how they changed it, but they changed a lot, and everyone could play with everyone, and that was kind of the point of the overhaul for the start of the game after year one. And I haven't played it since that, so I'm not sure.
What I've learned about like dipping my toes into MMOs across these two games, never play an MMO that's new. Never touch it when it's new. Like at most, wait 3 years and then go in.
Yeah, yeah. The only
That's more
time
of a
you
recent problem.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, World of Warcraft. I mean, I was in it day one in the beta, and it was pretty fucked up. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad for a really long time. So
Okay, so Coy Wallace says the main story starts when you talk to a prophet. He appears as a spirit. Because I talked to a living god.
yeah, no, this is that the main story is at least I have not seen it come available for me, and Nick has not seen it come available for him.
Okay,
With talking to the prophet and then going down in the cave and meeting what's his name?
and that it seems
That famous English actor that's so good with voice acting.
the like main story of the area that I'm in seems to be I talked to
Vivek.
this Vivek, this living god is like losing power. He says his power is actually draining. He's like, I don't know what the hell's going on. You need to help me out. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
where I'm at.
Morrowind, which is an expansion story.
Interesting.
See, one thing that I have to point out for like my opinion on this is like watching this person who's playing go through here was one of the most annoying things about this being an MMO and kind of like a Skyrim hybrid is just going through and collecting all this stuff and searching every urn is important for an MMO. Getting all those items is important. Like in Skyrim, you could just start skipping all this shit, but you can't here, and it annoyed me
Yeah.
because like
Yeah, we spent a good. I mean,
Isn't
one
it-
of the reasons why we were played until 3:30 was we spent a good hour and a half running around stealing everything we could get our hands on. I mean, as soon as they inducted us into the Fighters Guild, it's like, okay, time to start stealing everything off the walls.
And see, like that's fun because that's what I would do in Skyrim is try to steal everything and then fence it. And it's like this is cool. I like this. And honestly, what I've realized is that a lot of the stuff that I picked up a lot of junk off of dead bodies and stuff, and then as I looked at the inventory and realized, oh, this is for crafting food, this is for crafting armor, and I'm like, I'm not really into crafting at the moment. Maybe I will later, but for now, I was just like, trash it all.
Yeah, trash
Now-
it all because A, it fills up your packs, and B, you eventually get to a point where you have so much crap on you that you need to buy and expand. Buy more space, and that's where money starts to become a real issue. And then you start spending a lot of money, and then you start spending real money in order to buy fake money in order to expand stuff. And yeah, it becomes an issue. Big time.
So, yeah, Elder Scrolls is fucking cool.
I also have to give a disclaimer because like I wasn't super into Elder Scrolls. I mean, it was fun, but when I first started playing, I mean, the combat felt kind of basic to me.
Okay, yeah, I will get into that. Like the Elder Scrolls combat in general, like for the series, is kind of really stupid. And I think I told Edie this last night. I got a stick and I'm hitting you with it, and you got a stick and you're hitting me with it. It's just like, hey, we're gonna pound each other with sticks until one of us dies. That's generally been what the combat has been. I remember in Skyrim, I kind of had to make it more fun by becoming this stealth archer and like sneaking up on people, getting headshots to kill most of them, like in one hit. And so I wouldn't really need to fight a lot. And I found that fun. This in the beginning, I think, is a lot of that dumb, I'm going to beat you with a stick and you're going to beat me with a stick. But then the addition of the MMO abilities actually improve this combat from base Skyrim, where I'm hitting you with a stick, you're hitting me with a stick, but then I'm going to use this ability that depends on positioning. So for me, I have this ability that will make me go invisible, and then I can run around behind a guy, use another ability on their back to stun them, and then I can start using like the strength abilities, where it's like, hey, this is a strong move, while they're stunned. And so that combination, it's not just me hitting them with a stick until they die. It's me thinking about, positioning where they are in relation to me. If I'm fighting a guy with Edie, I'm going to go invisible. She's going to hit him. He's going to turn around to face her, and then I can use my backstab to get him. And so I think those abilities add a very, very important layer of engagement to the combat, because otherwise, if it was like Skyrim or Morrowind, I think those were fun at the time, but now it's just kind of like beat, 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 I win. It's boring. And it was like that in the very, very beginning. But then once I got the abilities and kind of got used to this, make this combo that I created, I found it a lot more engaging. And I actually think this combat is better than Skyrim. And the ability to stun guys with a well-timed block and all that, I think this combat improved on the series as a whole. And I think the more abilities you get, they can change the combat in interesting ways. And so, right now I'm thinking about my position and I'm always trying to get behind guys, but I could also just get a bunch of other abilities that then change how I think about that. And I think that makes it very fun, because it's not just hitting guys with sticks. And the importance of it and the way that I engage with it, I have to do things moment to moment. Like with Final Fantasy 14, I had the combo, but it was like do X, do Y, do Z. And that was all the tactics I need to do. It didn't really matter if I was behind someone or in front of them or beside them. But in this game, that really does matter. And so I'm actually concentrating on, running around a guy and like I said, my positioning and all that. And so I actually ended up, by the time I stopped last night, I think this combat is very engaging and probably the best that it's been for this franchise.
And see, in Final Fantasy, eventually positioning becomes important. And there used to be mechanics like flanking in Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But my experience with at ESO was I was Templar with a staff, and staffs have, it was in the video, you just kind of hold the button, you can do a beam, and you just kind of hold it. And a lot of my abilities as Templar were just buffs, or dropping like a little healing field. So I'd literally drop a healing field, buff myself, and then run in a circle holding R2 while beaming him and just trying to stay out of his reach. And I did that for 50 levels. And I was just like, I'm so done. I hate this. And to be fair, I'm a little biased because how I ended up finishing and stopping playing ESO was personal drama related. And we had a guild. My brother was running it, and he got into a fight with a friend, and that friend ended up taking all the money out of the guild bank and then deleting his character.
Oh God!
And we were trying to all put money and resources and stuff into this guild, and then that's what happened. So I was just like, you know what? This is too much. I'm done with this game, and I deleted it.
Job.
We'll start another one. Let's do this.
That's fair. And the funny thing is,
by the way, Corey Wallace has maintained the GameHounds Guild the entire time. It's still there.
Oh yeah, I joined it. That was cool.
Yep. We have a new member. We're now up to 3 members.
As much as I'm praising this, excuse me. As much as I'm praising this one and kind of crapping off on Fantasy 14, because I stopped playing 14 on a high note, where I think the quests actually started getting interesting, the environment got interesting. It took me fucking 40, 50 hours. But because I ended it on a high note, I'm not sitting here thinking oh, fuck that game. This game's so much better. I think this game is better, and I think it's, at the very least, it's more designed towards what I'm looking for moment to moment. But I'm also part of me kind of wants to go back to 14. Because I think what 14 is. It's just a different type of game where 14 is the kind of game where I just want to sit back, put a podcast on and just kind of like play something fairly easy for a couple hours and just kind of chill with it. Whereas this game demands a much more moment to moment, whether it's trying to explore an environment with its very tight camera that makes it easy to get lost, or listening to all the voice acting side quests. It's hard to listen to a podcast when you've got voice acting. It just demands more of your attention at any one moment.
And I think I'm not sure what later levels of ESO are like, but even when I was playing the group content, when I was first playing ESO, it was very much kind of, we roll in, hopefully the healer's healing and the tank's tanking, but it's kind of a mess. Whereas I've always felt that Final Fantasy had a bit more order when it comes to group content.
True.
There's more of, Edie was always saying, it's a dance. And you can see that in what you're doing in Final Fantasy. Where in ESO, again, it just looks kind of like a mess.
ESO doesn't really do dungeons as far as that, like you said, that kind of order, that kind of organization, very classic MMO structure is very much stronger in Final Fantasy 14 than it is in ESO. In ESO, it's a lot more loosey-goosey. And some of it is better, some of it is worse.
Yeah, interesting to see what that's like, because I remember with 14, it took me a couple weeks to get to a dungeon, and then I was complaining I don't know what my role is. I'm just hitting things.
I don't know how to actually target. I'm sitting here pressing.
Yeah.
At level 50, I don't know how to target.
But in this case, I can totally see that, because I don't know. Am I a tank or am I a damage dealer? I don't know. I wear heavy armor, but I've got a broadsword. But then I go invisible. So what the fuck is my role?
Right.
And also, a lot of what we've done is kind of just doing quests side by side. I'm not even sure if we were in the same group, but I'm not even sure if the quest progress that I make transfers over to you. Because sometimes it did and sometimes it didn't. Well, you got a key, but then I had to go get that key myself. But then at another point, I progressed the conversation, and then it progressed for you too.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is like playing Skyrim with multiplayers, but everyone has to do the quest on their own. Everyone has to do each step on their own.
Right.
And so I haven't actually hit that multiplayer part, those dungeons that demand group content. I haven't actually gotten to the group content.
That'll
yet.
be in a little while before you get to the group content.
Okay.
I mean, we're level what, 5, 6?
6, maybe 7. No,
you might be 7 because I left.
8?
I think I was 6 when I left.
I think I'm 8.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be a little bit.
yeah.
But Corey Wallace does mention it's another thing that you can do in Skyrim that you can't do in Final Fantasy, because you can kind of craft your own character however you like, which is an advantage. The downside is that there is no, when you queue for a dungeon with the group finder in Final Fantasy, it knows exactly what you are. You are a healer. That is your job. When you chose that class, you chose healer. So when we're going to queue you, we're going to pick one from this class to be the tank, and then one from 2 more from other classes to be damage dealers. In ESO, because you have that flexibility to be a little of this and a little of that, and you can even be have different gear, this is my healer gear, this is my damage dealer gear. It's you can kind of go back and forth and have your different builds. What that ends up doing is that you, as the player, have to register as your role. You are saying, I am registering as a tank.
Huh.
The downside of that is, as Corey Wallace says in the chat, don't queue into the group finder. They tend to be a clusterfuck. DPS will queue as tanks or healers, and then the pain begins. Because, of course, DPS, there's way more DPS in this world than there are tanks and healers. So you're sitting there waiting for a group as a healer or as a tank.
Someone
or as a DPS, you have to wait for a tank and a healer to join. And there's fewer of them.
So someone's just I want to get in. I'm going to label myself as a healer.
Right.
Just so I can get in.
I can get in.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I imagine some of that.
I did that with I had a caster character that I started out as a really kick-ass damage dealer, and then realized that I couldn't get any groups. So I completely re-rolled my character, changed all of the stats and turned her into a healer so I could actually get into groups as a healer.
And see, you could have just lied.
I could have just lied.
And I mean, to a degree, like I imagine with early dungeons and most MMO content like that, you get to a point where you can get carried. If you get put into with somebody who's way higher level or like has max stats, because I don't know if it like level syncs or anything, but you'll run through that content regardless of what you queue as, just because you're out damaging, outliving, just all that. Worth noting though that while you're having fun making your own character right now, when you get to top end, just like with any MMOs, there is a meta. And if you don't conform to that meta with your class, people will give you shit for it. And I mean, like, don't play with us kind of shit for it.
Yeah.
Which again, the MMOs become all about the group content at the high end, at the end game.
Well, let's see if I get there.
Yes.
Although I think I almost got there with 14, but yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying my time with it, especially because like I was playing Final Fantasy 15 for most of the week, and then just last night, Edie, you're like, "Hey, you want to play ESO?" So I hopped in, and so now I'll have to switch between the two because I did have a lot of fun with it.
Yep.
I want to.
We're gonna be playing it as soon as we're done.
Okay. I want to go see how some of those quest lines end. Like,
I have to actually go get my Morrowind basic quest because I just jumped in and then warped to you and haven't done any of my own quests at this point.
I will say, and this is like half backhanded compliment or half like praising insult. I find that my progression of play is a lot like it was in Skyrim, where we were in the city of Vivek, and we both had a quest that's like, hey, go slip these false recipes into these guys so that they make the wrong, mushrooms. And we're like, okay, we both got this quest. Let's go do it. We go out into the world, and then we find another town. And we're like, oh, hey, there's some quests here. Let's do these. Let's do these. Oh, we find some other quests over here. Let's do these. And like 3 hours later, we're like, oh, we never actually did do that mushroom quest. We never did slip those papers anywhere.
Yeah. The town that we got to with the missing daughter, we went to steal a key to go into a dungeon. Though we have yet to go back to that dungeon. We got the key, but we have yet to get back there.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, right. That's what it was. We were going to the place to slip the papers in. Then we found a mine.
A mine. That's right. Not to touch about
outside,
mine.
and we're like, oh, hey, he wants a key. Let's go to this city to find this key. Oh, we're in this city. Let's go do this other thing. Let's go. And it's just that like domino effect that slowly takes you far away until you look back and you're like,
on acid is what it is. It's total ADD.
And it's like 3 hours later, you look back and be like, wait, what the fuck? How are we out here? Why am I on the west side of the map? I wanted to go east.
You still haven't finished a single quest in all that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost. Yeah.
So, all right. Any other games we want to talk about?
Yeah, I've played a few games.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Warframe, still playing that, but I recently got into the Railjack content, which is the newest stuff. And I mentioned this earlier, but you make your own personal ship, and they have little maps and stuff to play on. I like it. I hear the community reception wasn't great because it's kind of hard to solo. Like, when your ship takes damage, you get below 100 health, there's a breach in the hull, and you have to go repair that. And you use this resource that you have to go to a different part of your ship to make. So if you're alone doing all of those things while trying to fly and fight, it can be kind of annoying. But if you have a team with you, that content becomes really fun. But Warframe's always kind of been about solo content, like doing it all on your own, getting strong enough to do all of this without it being a problem for you. So
What the fuck am I looking at?
This is the Railjack combo.
There's
Or
a video playing. This is not what I remember Warframe being.
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
feel
no,
like
it's totally different. That's what the Railjack content is.
Yeah, you get your own personal ship, and this is the pilot. And there's 4 new like trees of like skills that you can get, and it's pilot, tactical, gunner, and then engineer. And you get these intrinsic points as you play, which are essentially like experience points, and you put them into these different classes. They increase exponentially up to 10 levels. So it starts off at 1 point, goes to 2, then to 4, and then to 8. So the last level is going to take 1,024 points. And you only get a few, like, per mission. So I'm playing with 2 other friends, and one agreed to basically be the engineer and put all his points into that because the end skill is really good. The other person wants to be gunner because that basically like gives you auto aim. And then I ended up being the pilot because someone needed to fly the ship. And I find that really cool, kind of working together with these roles. And eventually you can get all of it yourself. But if you focus, you can get some of those higher end skills quicker. I think it's really fun. But again, I think the community at large hasn't liked the content. And when you're in these missions, you can either stay on the ship or you can jump out of it into your Arcwing, which is like a own personal like space capable frame. You basically put on wings and you can fly around and you can shoot your own gun and like use your melee weapon and attack stuff. And then there's cruise ships that come in. And what those will do is you can stop them by destroying their engines, but you can't destroy them with your ship if you're the pilot like this. They're just too strong. However, if you have a gunner on the heavy gun, they can take it out. You can go fly and board that ship and take it over and start
I
shooting
was waiting
people
for you
with
to
it.
say something like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Or you can just fly in and take out the reactor and then jump back out and it'll destroy it. And so you kind of have this combat loop of where one person's flying around trying to keep the ship alive. One person's either like jumping out to fight people in an Arcwing and then like go do the objectives. Because sometimes you have to go into like a base and do like certain things like hack a console and then fight off enemies, stuff like that. And then you have another person repairing the ship or being on extra guns or taking out boarding parties because they can like shoot pods that enter your ship. So it's this nice, fun, like team-based mechanics, and I've always wanted that in Warframe.
Yeah,
and that's what I've been mostly doing.
It seems like space pirate battles.
Yeah,
it's like,
kind of.
You've got ships, trying to flank each other. Meanwhile, you've got pirates jumping on each of them, trying to board.
Yeah, and see, these like he's been boarded right now, so he has to go in, and then he has to repair his hull because he took too much damage. And all of this is like annoying if you're alone, but again, if you have teammates, it feels seamless.
This almost looks like a sci-fi Sea of Thieves.
Kind of. This is still like relatively new. Like they've put out the base content for this mode. I'm interested to see how it expands over the years and what they add to it. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing in Warframe is this content. On a different side of stuff, moving on to a different game, I've played Valorant recently, and that's kind of interesting. That is a PvP game, and I don't know if anyone's ever played CSGO or seen gameplay of that.
In high school, I played Counter-Strike.
Yeah, Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
It plays very much like that, where you start off with a pistol and you have money. And every round you get money based on kills or if you live, and then you can buy like an advanced weapon, like a rifle or submachine gun, heavy or sniper rifle, stuff like that. And then you can buy armor. The shtick here is that you have champions like League of Legends, because this is made by Riot. And they have abilities and powers. Like you have a healer whose ultimate is they can revive a dead person, but they can also heal people. You have this person is Phoenix, who I've been playing. Their ultimate is they can basically in one spot activate the ability, and then for the next 10, 15 seconds, if they die or get shot, they'll revert back to that position, having taken no damage. But you can get kills while doing this. So you're kind of have a second life. but he also has like flash bombs, and you can throw a fireball that's kind of like a Molotov. So it plays just almost exactly like CS:GO, but with powers, and it's pretty fun. I mean, I've enjoyed it. It's free, and again, it's made by Riot, same people who make League of Legends. See, like they put a wall up, but then that person uses an ability that lets them fly, so they just jumped over it, stuff like that, and then that's essentially like a smoke bomb.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about this game because I know it just came out, and so a lot of podcast people are playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks neat, like it looks cool. But it's only for PC right now, right?
Correct. And
Okay.
yes, it is, Miles.
Yeah.
It is available to the public now. It's officially launched. Early on, I heard there was a lot of toxicity problems.
Yeah, I believe that.
I've only played like 5 games, and in that time, I just pretty much tell my teammates I'm crap, I'm shit, I'm gonna do terrible. And they're like, "Yeah, man, me too. We know. Like, we get it." Like, I didn't know you could buy armor. I didn't know you could buy weapons for people, because like one person was like, "Hey, can you buy me this weapon?" And I'm sitting here fumbling with my UI, and then the game starts, and I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, man, I don't know how."
Yeah,
I've done that more than once. That guy threw a flashbang and he hit himself. I do that shit all the time.
Like, even when I played Counter-Strike in high school, I was never good. Like,
Oh, yeah,
I was always bad. The only money I ever earned was like, the default you get from a round. If I got a kill, I was like, that's the best I'm gonna do today.
Right.
Like a single kill. But this, I still had enough fun, and just I would like to play this if it ever came out on PS4, which it probably will. But I've heard enough good things about it that it seems cool, and it's also neat to see Riot expand, because for the longest time they were like just League of Legends, and now it seems like just within the past couple years, between putting out the card game Legends of Runeterra and this year, they're really putting in the effort to expand their
offerings. Like,
yeah. I'm not sure what you call. It's not a discography. It's not a
catalog.
I don't know. What do you?
Game
catalog. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you call it. Collection.
And they also have like the auto chest now as well, like which is all relatively new. Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone was like, "We got to make new stuff, guys. It's been a decade. We're still just running on League of Legends. Like, we have to do something else."
Yeah, and like for a developer that, like you said, for a decade was known for one game and one type of game, the fact that they put out all those 3 very different types of games, like shooter, card game, and then I don't know, whatever the fuck you'd call team fight tactics. Like, they've all got good reviews. Like, they're all well done, well made, fun games, and so it's kind of impressive to see a developer that like made one type of game suddenly expand into multiple others and be rather successful in each of those.
Yeah, like I've thought, I haven't played Legends of Runeterra, but I played the auto chess and I've had a lot of fun. And then there was this, and this is again a lot of fun. Although they had this whole campaign for the beta where you had to watch streamers play Valorant for a while before you could get a key yourself. And then once you did, you could get the key, and there was a large Twitch presence on the game, and that has pretty much vanished overnight when this thing went public.
Yeah.
Like, no one is playing it on Twitch anymore. At least not a lot, as they were having it before.
Huh. So it's like they were only doing it to get the key.
Yeah, and I could totally see this coming to console more than like League of Legends. I mean, that'd have so many problems.
Yeah.
This would be pretty easy. I mean, you'd have a bunch of people saying, "Hey, this is dumb," but I don't know if they will. I mean, Counter-Strike never went to console, so
yeah, and none of the other things they've made have.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I've been playing, and then I have one more game, which is it was on sale, so I bought Ratchet and Clank, and I've always loved that series.
Which one?
Just the remake, the 2016 version.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love it. It's Ratchet and Clank. It's dumb humor, which I find funny. The weapons are crazy, and fighting is like really well done. I mean, you kind of have to like that game. It's really nostalgic for me. Apparently, it did really well on its own, and they're going to be coming out with number 2 with the PS5, which we'll talk about later.
That's
Right.
good.
But,
I should look into that because I liked all those games. They're the kind of thing that's just fun. Like it's just,
I mean, in the first hour, I met a character who was like a plumber designed to like he takes care of the sewers of this town, and he's like, "Have I met you before?" And Ratchet's like, "No." And then as you're leaving the town, he's like, "All right, see you in the next remake," and he walks away, just breaking the fourth wall. And the character's just like, "What?"
I've always thought they had the best weapons, like the ones that can turn people into chickens, the disco ball that will then make all the enemies dance, so that you can take them out. They've always had cool weapons.
They have stuff in this that's like a pixel cannon where you shoot just like 8-bit like shots at people, and there's the gun that makes everyone dance again, stuff like that. I've always loved I've always loved the weapons in Ratchet and Clank.
That's right, Eric. Because they made a movie.
It bombed horribly.
I should see that because I heard it wasn't that bad.
I heard it was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it had a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
I don't know. Now I kind of want to see it more.
It was meant to be released alongside this as kind of a connected universe stuff, and it did not go well. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a fun kind of platformer adventure game with cool weapons, and I like the humor, but it's kind of cheesy humor, so pick it up. It's only $10, I think, if it's still on sale. If it's not, it's only $20. It's been out for a while. Cool, but yeah.
Yeah, Eric Baker in the chat room says, I don't see them making another Ratchet and Clank movie.
Yeah, no.
Not if it hit 13%.
I wonder if that's still the case. Like, that was when it came out.
He says he enjoyed it.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Did I hear... I don't know if this is... Did the Monster Hunter trailer come out?
21% it went up. And then 42% for audience score, so...
Okay. Oh, yes, it did. It did come out. I didn't see it. The trailer for Paul Anderson's, not to be confused with Paul W.S. Anderson. This is Resident Evil Paul Anderson's Monster Hunter movie.
Like the game? Based on the game?
Based on the game. It's got Mila Jovovich, who's was in all the Resident Evil movies, and then Tony Jaa, the martial artist from Ong Bak.
Oh, I can't even imagine what...
The movie posters have like them with giant swords, kind of standing in these big discs. There's a poster with Mila Jovovich holding a sword that's literally as tall as she is.
That's hilarious.
I'm looking forward to this movie. I have seen all the Resident Evil movies. None of them are particularly
Is this the one with Eddie Peng in it?
Eddie Peng? Maybe? That is not the name that I would see first. Like, of all the names in the movie, I don't know how... No, absolutely not.
That's not it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Miles Thompson knows. Tony Jaa is epic.
Oh, there it is. Trust AC to find it.
Yeah.
And this is live action, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's going to have top-end CGI. Like,
Is
it
this
needs
it?
it.
I think this is it, yes.
Okay.
It's about... No, this looks like Godzilla. This is Godzilla... Wait. Okay, no, maybe this... Oh, no, this is a fucking fan-made trailer that mixes clips from Resident Evil with clips of other monster movies. They're showing
weird.
They're showing clips of the Rampage movie and Godzilla. You can't trick me with this shit, man.
I just saw Cloverfield, so... Like...
Okay, so that's not it. All right, I am looking for this one, but unfortunately, I can't. I can't. I can't
Maybe they didn't.
copy and paste it.
Maybe it hasn't released. I don't know if it did or not. I thought that it did, because I had seen clips and things of it. Okay, yeah, it looks like it was just like a first look, which is basically just, hey, look at these movie posters. I think that's what it was. It's like they put out a movie poster.
I can't find it. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, shit. The trailer's not out. It's not out. It was just like movie posters that I had seen. But yeah. So you've got that to look forward to. Oh, it's gonna be weird. Paul Anderson makes like the C-est level of B movies.
Oh man.
I'm just seeing a bunch of pictures of Mila Jovovich and the swords that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this movie's going to be about. Like,
special forces get transported to another world and fight monsters.
No, I've seen that. I remember hearing about that, and it just sounded so weird.
It sounds like a 90s action movie.
It does.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, that was my news. I thought I had seen a trailer for it come out, and I got excited, and I just remembered it, but turns out I was lied to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So speaking of which, you want to hit and talking about news? Let's hit some news.
Okay.
All right. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with gamer Edie, Nick DiNicola, and Andrew Smith. And our first item is
I guess
PlayStation 5.
Nothing really happened.
Jesus.
Yeah, no.
It was a very empty week.
I was looking at there's no news stories.
No
All the
news.
websites
Yep.
had nothing.
All right. Thanks for listening to GameHounds. This has been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith.
No, we'll get into the reveal event clearly.
Oh, you don't want to start with that?
No, just because like I just have news about Destiny 2 if anyone's interested.
Okay.
No, you do not bury the lead. You do not bury the lead. The lead is PlayStation 5 has been officially revealed. God, I can't believe you guys would do that. Seriously, Destiny.
Oh yeah, talk about Destiny 2.
Fuck that. No.
You get a free upgrade when you go to PS5.
No,
Destiny 2 is a favorite of the chat. The chat wants to talk about Destiny 2.
No, they do not. PlayStation 5 has been revealed. It is official. It is kind of weird looking, not gonna lie. A lot of people are making fun of it online a little bit. Looks a bit like a skyscraper you might see in Abu Dhabi.
I like it. I like it because it's weird. Like all the jokes, huge. I'm like, yeah, give me that.
Is it that big?
Yes, it is. It is large.
It's about as big as the PS3 was originally.
Oh wow!
Larger.
Probably a little wider too because of what people are calling the popped collars.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually larger because people of the internet detectives of the world have taken the fact that the USB port is a specific size,
right,
and compared it next to other systems, and it is larger than the PS3, like by a good margin. It is about the size of a desktop PC.
Oh
like
wow!
A tower in height. I think it was 45 centimeters. Was what they came out to, which is. I don't know the conversion.
Yeah, I was happy to see a picture of it lying on its side.
This ruler is 30 centimeters, so it's 1.5 times the size of this.
Okay.
So figure it is that long. Like that's a 12-inch.
Looking at the video is kind of meaningless. I can't. Yeah, as big as your head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this. This is a 12-inch ruler, right? If it's 45 and that's 30 centimeters. If it's 45 centimeters, it's like, I have to actually pull back. It's like this big.
Yeah, 17 inches is what it was.
12.
So
Yeah, 17 inches would be about the size. Wow, it's longer than this book. It's like that long. And you can
Yeah.
see my head compared to this book. It's like that long.
It did
It's-
make me glad that
this long plus my head. That's how long it is.
it did make me glad that I got a TV stand that had like a big open area beneath it, so that it can take things of any length. Like nothing can stand up vertically. Like there's no room. But
yeah, I'm gonna have
because
to
it's
do
got
something.
an
And it's
open
supposed to
area,
sit. It's supposed to sit vertically. It's supposed to sit. Like
you can do it horizontally. I've seen pictures.
yeah, but maybe it's just because of the old PlayStation, not the Xbox days. If they say it's supposed to be standing up, I'm gonna put it standing up. I am not gonna fuck with it.
Did they ever say it was supposed to be standing up? I don't think anyone ever said
They
it was
never
supposed
said
to
it was supposed to be standing up, but people who did stand up, the Xbox 360 had their discs eaten.
be.
If
Never
you will
happened to
recall.
me.
Oh, why do I have this? Oh, these are just the games.
Mine was always standing up.
You weren't supposed to. You were lucky then.
Oh.
It was when you stood it on its side, it ate discs in the early days.
Yeah,
like
that never happened.
the memes have been great though. Like who's gonna win, the Xbox mini fridge or the PS5 Wi-Fi router? Like,
Yeah.
or a particular one of like the meme is like, "Hey mom, I want to go to McDonald's." It's like, "No, we have food at home." And this is, "Hey mom, I want a PS5," and it's, "No, we got a PS5 at home," and it's a PS2 with like in a white binder.
I like in the chat Miles is it Miles? No, Forget Your Life had it best. He says it looks like a shitty award you get at a mediocre celebrity gala.
I've seen some of the the PS5 memes. Let me see if I can find some of the hilarious PS5 memes. Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna put this website up here. The PS5 Keurig coffee maker.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the Eye of Sauron.
The Eye of Sauron.
Oh, shit, you're right. Because of the pop, it totally, you can fit an eye in there. That's Pope hat.
Pope's hat.
Pope hat, yeah.
The PS5 attached to the front of a duck, so it actually makes a very, very convincing duck bill. There is the PS5 design as a high-rise hotel in some
In Dubai.
That's what I meant, not Abu Dhabi. It's Dubai.
Yeah.
There are some pretty funny ones. This one says, and I'll read it out, the PS5 laying on its side looks like a half-eaten sandwich or burger where the contents of the insides are sliding out of the bread bun.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Wally comparisons.
The Wally versus Eve.
Especially because, like, the Series X is literally like a black box.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me see if I can stop. I do not want that.
Destiny. Like,
yeah, there's some definitely
There's
some.
a lot of good jokes about it, but it's one of those things. I like it because it's something you can make fun of, and also, like, the truth is, once you put it under your TV, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like,
no, it
you don't
doesn't.
really care. Like, it's like the Wii name. Like, everyone makes fun of the name of the Wii, and then it sold like 4 billion copies.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
I
like,
mean,
yeah, it's fun to talk about.
I think Xbox leaned into that idea, that concept that you're just going to put it away and it's not going to matter. That's why they just made
Yes,
a
exactly.
rectangle.
They're like, why?
You're just
put
gonna
effort
park it.
into
It's
that?
gonna collect dust. That's what it does. It just
Yeah.
collects dust. That's its job.
Now, it was announced that it's going to be releasing with a like digital only version.
Right.
Like, are
That's
you guys
the
gonna?
two. In fact, let me let's see. Let me get it up on the screen. Stop. Pause. Full screen. So yeah, I've got this paused here. So yeah, this is the two versions. If you will notice, one of them has a disk drive, one of them doesn't. Wow, if you look at the size of the disk drive, that gives you an idea. That's the size of a disk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what, 1, 2, 3 discs high?
It's also funny, and they mentioned this on the Beastcast, that it looks like they clearly started from the diskless design, because when you then add the disk drive, it just kind of looks like a tumor.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Well, and that might be intentional, that they wanted to make a sleek looking diskless so that people who cared about the aesthetic, because we do care about aesthetics, obviously, that we would opt for the diskless.
So here's the thing, though, and like, I think the event as a whole, in terms of just showing off games and stuff, was really good. And they wouldn't get into like the details of their service offerings yet with this reveal, but I've always said, like, I have a lot of PS4 games, even especially digitally. I want to know what their backwards compatibility thing is, what their support is like, because they've barely mentioned it. Was Xbox has gone on and on and on about how much they support it.
Right.
If they're going to sell a diskless version, like, that makes it all the more important that they clarify what that backwards compatibility support is.
Right.
Because without the disc, like, you are then locked into that console.
Yeah.
So like, if they're going to sell that console, like, I want to know when the PS6 comes out, is anything going to work on that?
Like, I've heard that it's going to be backwards compatible with most of the PS4 catalog, but
I've heard that too. But then I've heard that they're like, yeah, the 100 most popular games will be compatible.
Right. And there's also the price difference. It's like, well, is it compatible on both? Because you know that they're obviously going to dual price this. The one without the disk drive is going to be less expensive than the one with the disk drive. And if the one without the disk drive is conventionally affordable and the other one is unconventional or conventionally unaffordable, and that's the one with the backwards compatibility, then we're left with the decision of, do I want to pay extra to do backwards compatible, or do I want to pay regular price and just give up all my games and then just, oh well.
It also raises the question of, what does that support look like for all of the disc-based PS4 games I have?
Right.
Because if I buy the discless PS5, how am I going to play Final Fantasy 15? Like, I have that disc, but what do I do with it? Like, is there going to be any means of transitioning that license to a digital license? Or is it just going to be like, hey, we support your digital purchases, but not your discs?
Right. So my AC Wraith says the estimated dimensions from IGN are 15 3/4 by 8 3/4 by 4 inches.
So it's off by a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still large.
That's large.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't have a problem with being large.
No.
Bigger is better in most cases. It's only the fact that we like things to be compact. And I think that we have hit a evolution as consumers that bigger is better. I mean, if you think about all the iPhones that started out big and then got smaller and then got smaller and now they're bigger, and now you can have a choice of medium or jumbo for the iPhones. We're getting used to the idea that we like our tech to be bigger now.
Well, I think with iPhones,
the way we are.
In particular, like with how many streaming services and all the stuff that you
want
do
the
on a
bigger
phone now.
screen.
Yeah.
The screen size is important.
I think from the ground up, they probably built the discless version because they wanted to control price. I think that's pretty much why they started with that. It's just they want that cheaper version so that it doesn't look terrible. Because I think the Blu-ray disc version is going to be expensive, and they know that.
It'll definitely be more expensive for sure, especially because it's not just a Blu-ray disc drive; it's a 4K Blu-ray disc drive. It is the HD, the Ultra HD Blu-ray disc drive.
Right.
which the PS4 Pro specifically did not support.
Right. So Miles Thompson does ask the $1 million question. Wait, so what if you have all
Yeah.
these physical PS4 games and you buy a discless PS5? That is the $1 million question right now.
I like
because they haven't clarified.
a couple things down. Forget Your Life has a good assumption.
Yeah, Forget Your Life says it will take a disc adapter accessory. I bet. Yeah, I
if they
think so.
do anything
An
like
external
that.
disk drive.
That's not a bad idea. Like
It's
at
not a
all.
bad idea.
I mean,
You can
it's just an extra thing you have to buy.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the idea is that you don't buy that right away. You
But
get
here's
the
what's going to
PS5.
happen is that if you buy the cheaper PS4 without the disc drive, right? And then you decide later to get the disc drive, I will bet you dollars to donuts that it will be more expensive by order of magnitude. That you're going to pay a premium for splitting up the price.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, in general, I'm not opposed to a discless version. It's
That's probably what I'd get.
It's just I want to know what the support is like, because I have a lot of physical PS4 games, and I would like those to still somewhat be supported.
Right.
And see, I have like 3 disc-based games, so like I'm totally all for the discless version.
I also prefer the disc myself, just because I have a lot of Ultra HD movies,
Right.
and so being able to play those on the PlayStation means that's one extra thing I can unplug from under the TV, one extra space I can free up.
I'm probably going to get the discless, even though there's a part of me that's like, of course I want the fucking disc. But I don't have many PS5 discs at all. I tend to buy digital. And I don't have any Ultra 4K HD movies. I Netflix all of my movies. I don't think we played a disc movie in a really long time. Like the first season of Con Man that I got on disc because
I still have that.
Was a patron.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about it too. Is just I've realized that I don't buy discs anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just more convenient to buy digital.
Yeah, Easy Ray says, could you get a cheaper third-party drive then? Then you start getting into proprietary stuff. And I'll bet you that someone makes a hack.
I can't see that happening just because it seems that both manufacturers have tried very hard to restrict the third-party offerings.
Right.
Microsoft, back in the 360, Microsoft even went so far as to make their own proprietary wireless technology so that no one else could use it but them for their controllers.
Right.
Well, like take like the Logitech webcam that I have. It's just USB. I should be able to plug it into a PlayStation. It should work. Like there's no reason for that not to be the case. And it doesn't. Just because they want you to use the PlayStation camera.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's also not forget when people tried to create external hard drives or switch out their hard drives on the Xbox or put in a larger hard drive for their Xbox 360s. And you had to be pretty much a software engineer to be able to get exactly essentially all these huge machinations of putting it exactly in the right way with the right name. And you had to use a certain kind of software. It was a labor-intensive thing. You couldn't just go out and buy it, which is one of the things was a selling point on the PlayStation 4 is that you could go out and use any hard disk drive and plug it in. That was kind of like, hey, we're freeing you.
Seems like
until the PS5 comes out, and then we're not going to free you anymore.
Yeah. They've kind of improved the hard drive support at least.
Yeah.
And speaking of hard drives, just because that's a good segue into like what is apparently the best feature of the PlayStation, is that its SSD is apparently like top end. It is actually probably one of the fastest ones on the market right now. It's not on the market yet. Apparently, there's going to be something equivalent coming to PC in like August, from what I understand. Like it's super top end though, and it's meant to be like no loading time. Like that's the sticking point for it. It's just how fast it can load games.
Yeah, and they kind of showed that off with the Ratchet and Clank demo.
Yeah, and I think that's like the entire point of that Ratchet and Clank game was just, hey, do this.
Like the shtick is that you can travel between dimensions, and so in a lot of ways, it's loading whole levels in an instant because you kind of aim at this rift in space time, you jump through it, and then you're in like another level. And so it's like, okay, yeah, loading multiple levels in an instant. It looks cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like even open world games like Assassin's Creed, where it does seem seamless, that's only because there's time to load new assets as you change environments.
Yeah.
Whereas like this is completely new environments immediately, which is pretty good. I watched the live stream on a GameSpot like YouTube video, and it had a live chat with it, and that was hard to watch.
Why? What were
Really,
they saying?
I did both. I watched it regularly, and then I watched the Giant Bomb commentary over it because I like them.
Okay, see, yeah, but I was watching just like normal people talking about what they were seeing, and there's this misconception that like the next gen is going to be like the PS2 to the PS3 or like anywhere near that. That's not how games are going to develop moving forward. You're not going to get like better graphic fidelity from most games.
Yeah.
Just because that kind of work requires thousands of people to get something like Red Dead.
Well, we've hit what is it? The point of diminishing returns.
Right.
Yeah.
Graphics wise.
What you'll see from consoles is better lighting, 60 frames per second, like solid frame rates, more detail work, like more objects in the environment, more destructibility, more particle effects. That's where you're going to see the improvement in graphics. That doesn't translate well to like the live event or, you know, when you're seeing indie games. Indie games can't put that kind of work in usually because it takes a lot of people.
Before this event, they specifically said, hey, this stream is just 1080p, 30 frames per second. So they specifically were like, hey, the performance of these videos, don't take that as indicative of the actual hardware. This is just the stream. So they actually they got out in front and specified that.
Because like every other game, people were like, these graphics suck, these games are for kids, and it's like, no, this is what's just to be expected. You're going to see a bunch of indie games coming out first just because they're easier. And the high-end graphic stuff like Cyberpunk 2077, that's still going to be uncommon. Like, it's just how it's going to be.
Like, Cyberpunk is coming out this year. The Spider-Man game they mentioned with Miles Morales, that's coming out this year. A lot of the stuff they showed that like looks really visually impressive is coming out this year for the PlayStation 4. Really, the only thing that we saw during this stream that seemed like a PS5 exclusive, was Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
that we know of. Everything else feels like it could be cross-gen or even is cross-gen. But like for the games themselves, I thought they all looked really cool.
They all looked very cool.
I thought so too.
Even if there was Sackboy, fuck Sackboy. I hate Sackboy.
Really, why do you hate Sackboy? I'm glad that they are finally giving Sackboy just a flat-out mascot platformer game instead of a Little Big Planet game because he's a good mascot, and so just give him a mascot platformer.
Whatever.
I mean, I think they were kind of stretching for content here because it did seem like they were kind of pulling anything they could get for some of this. Like, again, a Sackboy game. I mean, actually, it's more like the Little Astros game. The one that was about the, back when they had the PlayStation Live, like, game where you had the little square block people. And that has its own platforming game or, like, environment game.
But wasn't that was a VR exclusive, the Astrobot?
Yeah, no, I think that was just like a game, like a platforming game.
Yeah, it was for the PSVR.
Oh, I didn't think it was for the VR.
Yeah. But then I liked a lot of what they showed off. Like a lot of the smaller games, like independent stuff, seemed really cool. Little Devil Inside had a great video where it kept jumping between like this old dude walking down the street with this guy swordsman fighting monsters, and it did a great transition from a guy throwing a bomb at a monster to then the old guy pooping in the toilet.
Yeah.
The bloop. And I thought, okay, I really dig this art style, the kind of diorama aspect of it. I have no idea what the game is going to be, but I'm really digging this. This transition right here is perfect.
I don't know why, but the main character of this, that guy, just looks like a dad to me, like someone who accidentally had to go on like an epic journey. And I don't know why that's stuck in my head, but it just seems that way. But one of the things, like that was one of the games that I saw, and I was like, okay, that looks cool. But there's actually a little bit of news to that.
There is. I was going to bring that up, but you go ahead, go do it.
There's actually two things. Something I learned is they did a Kickstarter for the game when it first came out. And they had stretch goals, and one of the stretch goals was putting it on each console, like the Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
They reached those stretch goals, and then they kind of went quiet. And when the event happened, it was revealed that it was going to become a timed exclusive for PS4 or PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't tell their backers any of this. They were just like, "Oh yeah, anyone who wanted it on Xbox or Nintendo, you're gonna have to wait."
Right.
Like
Yeah,
that's
they're still doing it. It's just time. That's all.
No, I think it's kind of like scummy, especially with people who had invested, and apparently they had enough money to make a profit off the game off of just the Kickstarter.
See, I disagree. Just has a fundamental philosophical thing with Kickstarter because they didn't invest shit. No one who contributes to the Kickstarter is investing. You are donating. It is a donation. You are giving this out of the goodness of your heart, and anything you get is a bonus. I know that like culturally that has changed and everyone now expects it as like some sort of pre-order thing, but like that's not what it is. It's a donation. And if you expect to get anything from it and you don't, and you complain, fuck you. You're not understanding. If you want to invest in a game, go on I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, that website where you invest in the game.
Yeah, like to actually invest in it. You're not investing in any game. It's a donation.
I see your point, but like when it's promised and then you make stretch goals for those exact things that later you're like, oh yeah, you're not going to get that when everyone else gets it.
But you're still getting it. You just gotta wait longer.
Right, but it would be one thing if they just said, hey, we're putting out this game, donate to us, kickstart us. They kickstarted them. But to actually add a specific stretch goal that said it would be available, and then when it's actually revealed is not available to a significant portion of them, it's an awkward situation to be in. When that was specifically mentioned as the stretch goal.
But it's not like it's not coming to those consoles. It's not like that stretch goal is invalid. It's just taking longer.
It's going to take a little longer for some people.
Games are really hard to make. And you get into all sorts of difficult bullshit with money. And I'm sure Sony paid them like a good amount for that exclusivity. And they probably needed that because games are really expensive.
Actually, that's my point. They didn't. They bragged about how much they made off the Kickstarter, that they made a profit off of the game, and that they had enough to finish development. They then went out for more money with PlayStation.
More money is always better. You can always polish it, and that game looks like really good and polished as fuck. So Fig, Andre.
Yep. That's Fig is the name of the company that you can actually invest in the game as opposed to just donate and kickstart.
I think there's a moral obligation if you make a promise like that.
Yeah,
and all you're risking, but all you're risking is your image. If you do something like this. Now you know that if you try to Kickstarter anything later in life, people are just not going to invest in you. And that's on them.
People donating to Kickstarters should understand that the creation of any sort of artistic commercial product is difficult, and you will run into issues like this very commonly because this is a common issue, and people donating should understand that.
And if they had released a statement saying, "Hey, we partnered with PlayStation. We're going to release time exclusivity."
Well, they can't say that before the reveal.
Well,
they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They couldn't actually make that announcement.
They should have put it when working on the contract. They should have put that in that, hey, we need to say this to at least our backers. Like, we need to do something. The
backers are totally going to leak shit.
I know, but
yeah,
it's just general philosophical difference.
So
in
Yeah.
general, I think that
But that's not
Kickstarter
the
backers
only
are
that's not the
Yeah.
only
entitled.
problem that Little Devil Inside has run into from PS5 reveal. They got into another problem because it has pledged that it is going to change some of its enemies, because some of the enemies that were shown on the PlayStation reveal showed, let's just say, questionable, given the time that we are in right now.
Designs, questionable designs.
Questionable character design. Some
Yeah.
of the enemies were little characters wearing kind of tribal, with loincloths and masks, with big red lips
It goes
and
back.
dreadlocks.
It's
And
back to the Resident Evil 5. Like, I remember that debate a long time ago about
Mhm.
Yeah.
whether a lot of those enemies were racist depictions.
You're right.
And things have grown more progressive since then. And so to see that same type of enemy in a different game, yeah, it makes sense that you'd have this again. And so to see them changing it, like, that's good on them.
Yeah. So they have
That's
they
why they needed that
said
Sony money.
said that we're really sorry. We did not realize when we did it, and this was on us. It was not intentional. That we made characters that are kind of racist, and didn't mean to invoke negative racial stereotypes. And I'm trying to freaking, yes, I have an ad blocker. Thank you. Assholes.
I get it from a design perspective, maybe not thinking about that, because it is kind of a be it racist design, a classic one.
Mhm.
It's out there. I mean,
Well, yeah, because it's classic. It's just sort of, if you're designing a bunch of enemies, you're like, oh, let's do something like this. I think it's easy for someone to make that and not think about the deeper implications of it. And I think the statement was pretty good. Just say like, ah, shit, we messed up, we'll change it.
yeah.
Like, that's probably the best you can hope for out of that.
I'm looking for them. They're in here somewhere.
I'm super interested in this just from a combat perspective, because you have that wire, you have this little fight scene that looks really cool and kind of gritty, and I'm interested in that.
Yeah. So other games they showed off. Yeah, obviously Horizon 2. It's not Horizon Zero Dawn anymore. It's Horizon Forbidden West. And it'll take place on the West Coast. We got to see a good Golden Gate Bridge covered in plants. And apparently that's also coming out for the PC. AC Wraith said that it's... Oh, no, he just said Horizon Zero Dawn is on PC. So
Yeah, so
that's
this may
definitely
come
a
out
game worth
eventually.
playing. I'm really curious about this game because I thought one of the best things about Zero Dawn was the story, and specifically the mystery at the center of that story as to what happened to humanity before. That was really compelling, and the answer was super interesting. Like, it's a very good apocalyptic sci-fi story.
Mhm.
And without that core mystery, I feel like you're suddenly missing a huge chunk of what made that game compelling. Like, it was still fun to play, but that mystery was so good, and without it, I can't help but feel like like I said, it's missing a huge chunk of what made that series compelling, and I don't know what to replace it with.
I mean, you can expand more on early life, before the apocalyptic events happen, but you do kind of know how they were wiped out. So
Yeah,
I'm sure there's more story to tell there.
sure. It's just like I said, you have a good mystery, and then you answer that mystery. How do you follow it up? And it's like, naturally, any mystery that comes afterwards will kind of feel less grandiose.
And they do look like they're trying to build something up in the trailer itself. Like, the mystery is going to be what's happening in the game right now, not what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, Horizon Zero Dawn, immediately after the announcement at the PlayStation 5 reveal, they have it has been discounted. The Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is now $10 as part of the PlayStation's Week of Play event. Days of Play. And it's also available at multiple retailers, including Amazon, which has it down to $10, down from its usual $20, which is kind of huge. And
It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game. It is well worth the $10, especially for the complete edition, which has everything in it. So if you're interested in getting yourself into it, or if you want to pick up the complete edition, and because I think that actually that whole complete edition is cheaper than buying the add-ons at this point.
I think it might be for $10.
Yeah, no, I mean, I never finished Zero Dawn, but it's a game I want to go back to and finish.
Yeah, I never finished it either. Actually, I barely started it, so I need to go through it so that I can be ready for this game. Because I know it was good. It just wasn't the right game for me at the right time. You know, like sometimes great games can come out and you start playing them and you realize I am not in the mood for this game right now. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think I need to go back to it and give it another real try.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know the story elements. Like I had a friend playing it and I watched her play as she went through some of the later game stuff. So I know like the secret. Which I'm not spoiling.
Don't spoil it because I don't know the secret.
Yeah, if you don't know, you need to play it because it's really well done.
Mm-hmm. All right. Also announced was GTA 5 is now making its way to its third console. So third generations of console.
The way that this stream started was really weird because it started with a video of GTA 5. And in the top left corner, there was a PS4 logo. So I watched a stream after the fact on YouTube because I didn't know it was on. So I'm clicking through videos like, okay, where's the stream? Where's the stream? Oh, here's one. GTA video, PS4. Wait, no, that can't be it. Back out. Find another one. GTA 4 video. No, what the fuck? Why does all these streams show GTA 5? And I guess it's because they're also running this bonus currently that if you are logged in to GTA 5 now, you're going to get like 1 million in-game bucks a month until the PS5 comes out. And like, I guess everyone will get GTA 5 online for free when the PS5 comes out, because now you have to buy a copy of the game to get the online version. And so now with the new console, they're actually going to spin that off into its own thing. And that's all neat. But it also just seemed weird to start the stream with that.
I heard a pretty decent argument. Like, it's going to come down to if they add more single-player content, in my opinion. If they add an expansion pass with this where you can do more heist stuff like that, that'll be good. Like, that'll make it worth it. But the argument for this game being remade is the whole switching mechanic between characters and the older systems was kind of cumbersome because it would take so long to load to a new character that this is another example of leveraging that SSD so that when you switch a character, it's going to be instant. You'll go out and then you'll go back in on a new person. And that could make the game better. And if people haven't played it yet, I mean, or if they're adding more single-player content, it could be a nice way to show off the PS5 power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I actually hadn't thought of that.
And the last little bit of news that I have about the PlayStation 5 reveal that is kind of stupid and silly, and I can't believe that I'm actually reporting on it. Following the reveal video, there was some observations that the people that were speaking were looking a little too perfectly filmed for being filmed at home during a pandemic. And so the website The Gamer, erroneously reported that the hosts were renders and not real people. Let me repeat what I just wrote. The PS5 reveal people were real people. PlayStation has responded, and they said that the truth in truth, absolutely, the hosts were actually filmed at home, and instead of relying on any digital technology to bring Jim Ryan and everybody else that was on that video stream to everyone's screens, it was just good old fashioned camera work. Nothing. And the thing is that if it had been PlayStation 5 renders that they did, or renders of any kind, you'd think that they would actually advertise that it was renders.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they were not renders. That was actual film. Sorry, guys. So,
Yeah, well, they announced a lot more games.
well, yeah.
and
you want to do you want to keep talking about the games? We can do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have
sure.
some notes on a few that were pretty interesting to me personally.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about Stray? We going to talk about Stray?
No, but I'm in
Oh.
to I'm so into Stray. Like I
yes.
want to play that game.
Yes. Yes.
Just two quick notes. The Spider-Man game. There was a lot of speculation that it was going to be an expansion to the one that came out for PlayStation 4. Like they're going to re-release it, and this will just be an expanded edition of it. But it is more. It is its own standalone game, but it's going to be like Infamous Last Light or Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it's its own game, but it's more shortened, and it's not going to be a full $60 purchase. It's going to be like $40, just less content and an addition to the series instead of its own like full-fledged title.
Which
Anyone was
I can
curious.
understand people being disappointed by that, but I also get like Spider-Man still came out fairly recently.
yeah.
And so development takes time, and so this might be all they were able to do in that short time frame.
Yep. Absolutely. And can I say the sense of entitlement that some gamers think they have?
Oh yeah,
It's like, what do you mean it's not a full $60 game? It's like, oh, please. Like you said, we just got the last Spider-Man game. Give me a minute, okay? Let me take a shower before I start in on the next one, if you please.
Well, I also think part of that disappointment also comes from the fact that like, oh, it's a black main character. Yes, but he's got an expansion. It's like, oh yeah, of course we don't give him the full game.
some of that though is
Because and that's kind of fair because someone also brought up Assassin's Creed and it's like, oh right, the only actual black main character was in an expansion pack.
Right.
Like they've had a Middle Eastern character in Origins,
Mm-hmm.
but then they had a black character in the Vita game. But it's like, oh yeah, if you're black, you get the side story.
Right. Right.
You know,
Mhm.
we'll put you on the portable console.
The movie Into the Spider-Verse really made me a fan of Miles Morales, so I was kind of psyched about this. That being said, like, I think this was a problem I had a lot of the teasers, and they were just teasers for the event, was just the ambiguity of what you were seeing. Like, there was a game called Pragmata at the end that was just like, what even is this? Like, what is the story? What is the mechanics? I have no idea what this game is.
I thought that video looked very cool. I have no fucking clue what any of it meant, but it looked cool.
Yeah, with the guy in the thing with the kid and the kid falling, and
you've got like a fake Times Square, a satellite crashes
it looked
through
a little bit. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, is this
hologram cat?"
Yeah, I thought, okay, is this fuck, what's the name of it? Division. It's like it looked like the Division.
It kind of looked like Division.
Yeah, at the beginning, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so they bring the kids back to life. Oh, this isn't Division. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like, here's a sci-fi short movie.
It's like nutballs. Yeah.
And then he lands on the moon, and that's it. And then they're like 2022, and by the way, we're not going to say any more about this game for a year. They have announced that they will not have any details about it for a year.
Part of me suspects that this will be the PS5 version of that Capcom game they showed off for PS4, and I'm trying to remember the name. Yes, Deep Down.
Yeah, right. That just fucking gone.
Yeah, they showed off they had a cool, teaser video of it, and then as you learn more, you're like, oh, there's like sci-fi aspects to it. I don't know. And then it's just nothing, just never came out.
Yeah, like
So-
it was in the PlayStation event as something to look forward to, and development was gone.
Yeah, I suspect that will be Pragmata.
That being said, there was also in that same vein was the Project Athia, which is apparently a Square Enix game, and the trailer was just
yeah.
like, here's some fantasy shit. Nothing else. Like, no context for the game, but here's some fantasy stuff. And
Also, the fact that it was Project, like they don't even have a title for it.
yeah, that's in working title, which is
Yeah.
again why I said it didn't feel like they had a lot to go on for this event, because they have like something that didn't even have a name, or Pragmata, which isn't
Except-
anywhere near done.
Except Sony's done this before. Literally, like the same thing. I remember with the PS4, they showed off. I mean, it was
Division?
PS3. No, they showed off a Square Enix fantasy, like, basically demo reel of like, hey, here's what the things will look like on PS4, and it was just like a Square Enix fantasy, a CG movie. And it's like,
Not a real game.
yeah, and it's like, okay, Square Enix doing like a fantasy video for a Sony console. It's like they seem to do that every release.
And
So Pissed is not going to let us go without mentioning Stray, and we do have to mention Stray.
yeah,
You
That-
did mention Stray.
Right, but we just mentioned a little bit. That looks, if I'm going to say it's the standout for me, the one that makes me go, ooh, I want to play that. That looks compelling and interesting. Stray looks super interesting.
I've heard a lot of people say that. It wasn't the one that stood out to me, but
It's got there's something very alluring about a world with no humans, yet you have a living cat, and that cat seems to be moving through society. It just
you like
that's
sad
backpack.
robots?
yeah.
I was about to say it's what's it from? Damn, Netflix. Love, Death, Robot, where it's cats
Oh,
have become
yeah.
sentient and they rule the world.
Maybe I don't
This
know.
This is the
It's
expansion
just-
of that universe.
There's something about it. It hits something. I can't explain it, but it makes me want it.
Oh yeah, I'm getting it.
Absolutely makes me want it.
One thing about the Project Athia, though, that I was going to
Mhm.
mention, it's made by the same people who made Final Fantasy 15. That same studio.
Oh.
So,
Cool. But
worth mentioning.
I still don't believe it'll necessarily come out.
And I'm gonna
That-
be one of those weirdos that of games that that I think that you probably aren't compelling to you, but are compelling to me. The other one that really stood out for me was Kenya Bridge of Spirits, or Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Oh yeah, I thought that looked neat. That looked cool.
It looked
reminded me-
really neat.
It reminded me of Pikmin.
A little bit.
Oh
I can
yeah,
see
it is kind of Pikmin. It's and they mentioned this on the Giant Bomb stream, the chat, that there was something very PS2 era about it, just in the fact that like here is a new IP, just like a character action game with a new character. That's
Mhm.
not like, hey, we're gonna revive this old IP, from the '90s. Or here's God of War 4 or something new like that. It's like, no, it's just a new character and a new action game, and it's that's it. That's it. He was right that there is something kind of weirdly old school about seeing a game not based on anything.
exactly.
It looks
and
awesome.
that doesn't feel like an indie game.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
And
there
like
were
I said,
other games that did feel like that were obviously new IPs, like Stray being one of them.
Yes.
But these don't feel like.
oh, right, you got to that.
Mhm, that
And
one.
then there's the what the fuck?
This just
the-
looks like
the-
a graphic novel.
What the fuck moment was?
Goodbye, Volcano High.
Goodbye Volcano High.
Which
what
was
the hell?
It was a good video. Just like I think the animation is very beautiful. I've seen a lot of people. I didn't think about this at the moment, but that it's basically high school drama and the idea of graduating high school and the kind of change that brings, metaphorically applied to the apocalypse of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
because the logo has a comet going through it, and I didn't think about that at the time, but that
Oh, I
it's
didn't think about that either
it's
until
the
just
movie
now.
Melancholia with dinosaurs in high school. So basically, think of high school dinosaurs dealing with the impending apocalypse and end of the world through a meteor.
Yep.
It's that'll be interesting.
I mean, I've seen that before where like they'll use animals as stand-in for humans so that you can
Oh yeah, yeah.
like attach yourself to the characters without any like preconceptions about who they are.
Right.
And I think that might be what they're going for. But I mean, if Hadio Boyfriend or the Pigeon Game can
Oh
be
yeah,
good, there's a chance that this could be good too. So
oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
I just think it's funny the juxtaposition of graduating high school is a big life change to the world is fucking ending.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening in our high schools right now?
No, it's and I
You're graduating in the middle of pandemic. Congratulations.
I think it's funny that they took that metaphor to literally the most
The extreme.
extreme literal that you could make it. They literally made it literal.
And a game that I saw that made me want. I haven't played an Oddworld game in
Oh,
freaking
yes.
25 years easily. Like, I think I played the first Oddworld and never played another one, and I don't know why, because I did enjoy them. But the new Oddworld makes me want to go back and find out what happened to Abe. Like, pick up on the story because this looks cool.
So like a lot of those games, the first two did revolve around Abe, and they were kind of side scroller platformers with a cheeky sense of humor. A lot of the subsequent games were not about that. There was one for the Xbox that revolved around a character named Munch that was more of a 3D platformer. There was another one for 360, I think, that was kind of a shooter involving a guy named Stranger. And so the fact that this is with Abe going back to side-scrolling platforming is actually a departure.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I do appreciate, like, one of the things about the Odyssey Oddworld games is that those first ones, it's about Abe collecting other like slave aliens and kind of trying to guide them lemmings like to safety. But if you made a wrong move, they all got slaughtered in really horrible ways. And to see that they are going far in that direction of, hey, let's just fucking kill 30 aliens in the most horribly over the top explosive ways possible. I think that looks pretty funny.
I've never been into Oddworld. Like I've never played a game, but I did think it was funny too that it's like you are going to save your people, and then it shows him jumping, and then like your entire group getting wiped out, and you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's like you're not a very good savior. That's kind of the point.
As I recall, the first Oddworld you had to do that. I could be wrong on that. I mean, like I said, it was a long time ago, but anybody who's played the original Oddworld, I think that was kind of the point of Oddworld is you were trying to go and save your people, and it was you got a score based on how many you got out.
And then there were, I'll say the two that hit me the most, just because it's like they're aiming straight for my heart. Obviously, the remake of Demon Souls, which I think looks cool, if only because it's also like an extreme, like ground up remake. Like they are doing everything. Like they might have the same base game, but they are redoing everything completely. It's not just it's a remake in the way that the Shadow of Colossus was a remake, where it's not just, hey, here's an up-resed texture thing. It's no, we're from the ground up, we are making this for the new platform and taking advantage of all that entails.
Like new engine and everything.
Yeah, and it's from the same group that did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, which I think is impressive because like the way that they remade that game, it was clear that it was like as much a labor of love as it was, a contract job. And so I think with this one, it shows that same type of dedication to it that I think is really impressive, and I'm looking forward to that.
That trailer, that reveal, like even in the original game, that big dragon god thing at the end, where he like ripped out of the building, and the other one you were like facing him down on top of a castle. In the game, he is in a pit, chained up, and it's always disappointed me that like they have this epic teaser of a boss fight, and they're like, no, you just go stick him with some spears and you win. And it's like, ah, you.
Yeah, that's Dark Souls. You always got to be able to stick it with spears. Hit it with your stick.
So, anything else that you
yeah.
said? You said there were a couple games.
Resident Evil 8.
Of course.
I so
Wait,
dig
Resident
the trailer
Evil
to the end.
well, it's called Resident Evil Village, right? It's not.
It's Resident
It's
Evil
8.
8 Village.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they needed a subtitle that they could somehow transition to a Roman numeral 8.
Yes, and they were trying to bury the lead with this trailer, like, what is this? And then Resident
So
Evil.
I'll say they got me. Like when it flashed Village at the end, I was like, oh, this must be a new IP. Because it looks different enough from what Resident Evil usually is. And I dig that. I like that this is apparently going to be in the style of Resident Evil 7, which means it's going to be first person and probably more horror based, which I like because they seem to be playing into and playing up to that really fucked up, brutalistic grindhouse aesthetic that defined 7. And the fact that at the end of this, they bring back Chris Redfield, who's a character in all the games, most of the games. He is one of the original characters that has since become kind of a superhero, like a super action hero who's like, yeah, zombies, fuck them. I can take care of zombies. And the fact that in this one, he's like, nah, I'm just going to shoot this woman on the ground. And the main character is like, why? I like that they seem to be playing into the idea that these, action heroes are now kind of fucked up villains in their own way, because just the way that they deal with the things around them is like, yeah, I'll kill it. I like that. I like that it's leaning into even more of the crazy aesthetics away from the zombies. They're going to add in werewolves. They got like a weird cabal of women witches in there, something like that, and it's all taking place in like a snowy village that looks like it's out of 18th century England.
See, I was on
it.
board. I was like, okay, this is probably Resident Evil because I heard that there was a reveal for it, so I wasn't coming into this completely like cold. But when they had the werewolf, I was like, maybe not. Like, when has there ever been a werewolf in Resident Evil? And then it's like Village. I'm like, okay, it's not Resident. Oh, okay, yeah, it's Resident Evil. Never mind.
But also, like, for all the things that go on in those games, it's like werewolf. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
makes sense.
Although, if someone can transform into a giant slime monster, sure, they can transform into a wolf.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right. And then there was another game that I really dig from the creators of Super Brothers. Oh no, Sword and Sorcery. Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery. This game was called Jet: The Far Shore, and it was another just kind of video, but the gameplay that it implied of you kind of going off into space and colonizing other worlds looked really cool. Again, I dig the art style that's kind of very diorama-like between this and the little devil inside.
Yeah.
I like the idea of using the power of the PS4 to make complex looking dioramas. And that's kind of what this one is.
Chris the Rock Puncher. Yeah.
The end of Resident Evil 5, the literal last thing that you do in that game to kill the boss of the game is you punch a rock. Has Chris. It's a mini game where you mash a button to punch a rock so hard you knock it on to the main bad guy. So yeah, that's the idea of turning that sort of dumb action hero into like a brutalistic, I'm just gonna fucking kill everything villain, and you have to like live around that. That seems like an interesting idea for Resident Evil.
So there were a couple of what the fuck moments for me.
Oh, there was several, I think.
Yeah.
Which one was the ones that stood out for you?
Pragmata. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Godfall's music choice for its trailer.
Right. I forgot about Godfall. There
I
was
actually have.
something about Godfall that looked kind of generic, and I feel bad saying
I
that.
I think I know what it is because the chat and the stream I was watching kind of pointed it out. It kind of looks like a mobile game. Like whenever you see the generic mobile games of like fantasy heroes,
Yes,
it's
that's exactly. It was like it looks so generic. It's
okay.
like this could be literally any game.
I like it because I'm a fan of hack and slash games. Like that appeals to me, and this looks fun. And I have notes about what this game's going to be like, and
Okay,
I'm going to share this because I
Okay.
looked into it because I wanted
because
to know.
I know a lot of the hype is that it's a kind of procedural based. The weapons you get are procedurally based, a lot like the guns are in Borderlands. And I just hope that that comes with interesting gameplay instead of just like, hey, you're hacking with a spear versus hacking with a sword.
Yeah.
Um,
So first of all, it's a co-op game. You can have up to 4 people, and what was it that was important? It's one second.
If
I have
you can't
notes.
even figure out what's good about it
No, no.
after
So
taking notes.
my notes are, I like it.
yes, I want to play it. So the idea was inspired to make a Dark Souls or God of War game, and then add Borderlands or Diablo loot mechanics. And how it works is there's
Okay.
5 different weapons with 12 different. They're called Valor plates, which are essentially armor sets. And the armor sets can be modded to give your character abilities, and you
Mhm.
can swap between any of the 2 of the 5 weapons as you play. So you end up making a character based on like builds of the items that you get and the abilities you make. You make a very personal character, and I think that can be a lot of fun. And again, it's in a hack and
I guess I
slash
can see that.
uh, package that I think doesn't get done a lot. Like the last good hack and slash game was for me, Devil May Cry. I love that game. I love games like that, but those don't get made very often. Um, so I'm looking forward to this. There is a generic feel that like, okay, who are the characters? What's the storyline? Like, what's going on in this game other than your knights killing people? Um, although it was said that it was inspired by one of my favorite book series, the Stormlight Archive. If you haven't read it and you're a fantasy nerd, go read it.
I think that video they showed was just unfortunate because it was just, here's a guy in armor
Action.
hacking at another guy in armor, and it didn't really. At least a lot of the other trailers kind of led into that or led into some sort of action, and this was just like, here's a game, like here's someone hacking away, and it's like that's it. You get that for like 20 seconds, and that was it. And it kind of didn't really do much to show off the game other than show you that it is in fact a hack and slash. But like we kind of knew that, and so it's like, oh, okay, is
Yeah,
there
I
more
think
to
they're
it
just
or what? And
they're leaning into the customization and the loot mechanics of like any of the other type of games, Borderlands or
yeah,
Diablos. And
and I like this video just didn't show that off at all.
no, it didn't. It was just, hey, here's hack and slash. But I was interested in the powers because there's like teleportation, various AoE stuff. Like that stuff I'm into, so I'm willing to give it a shot. I just can't vouch for like what the story is going to be like or if that's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. And I think it being co-op can be fun because there's not a lot of hack and slash co-op games, ones that focus on like combos and stuff because that could be interesting in its own right.
And I was just looking at like a recap of the thing and realized that they showed off a lot of games. And I think because there were 2 games specifically that we haven't talked about that I think we probably should. But I also thought like what I think made this reveal better than the Microsoft one from a couple months ago is that one it did have a lot of videos like this one of just kind of like, hey, here's a short announcement for an indie game that's just a video. But this game had a lot of that, but also had a lot more of pre-announced games that it then expanded upon. Like they revealed Demon Souls, you know that. The Resident Evil, you know about that. Horizon, you know about that. But they also expanded on things like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo that were announced at E3 last year, has just videos. And now with this, you actually got to see some gameplay involved in those. And that kind of made this event feel bigger and like kind of more important because it's expanding on things you already knew. And specifically for those two games, it looked neat. Ghostwire Tokyo is now forever in my mind going to be known as the finger gun game because like that game, it seems like it's a first-person shooter where you are doing a lot of like hand motions to cast some sort of spell against the enemies. And one of the things you see in the video is him doing a finger gun, like, and he actually like shoots a monster. Which like the effects around it all looked neat, and the fact that you're kind of almost summoning magic from your hands, kind of magician style, look cool. But
I was on board with this game. I liked it. I think it looked cool. It's kind of has a horror aspect to it, but like you're fighting it, so it's not really meant to be, I don't think, like crazy scary or anything.
Well, I think it's a combination. I mean, it's obviously about ghosts and things that other people can't see, and you're fighting against them. I think that there has to be a level of that.
Yeah,
but it's kind of horror in the way that Fear was a horror game.
Yeah,
which is like horror elements, but in an action context.
Because I think if you make a game action-based, you lose some of the thrill of a horror element. Because taking that control away from you from the monsters, like just being a threat, there's a difference there.
And that's the arc of Resident Evil.
True.
But then, Deathloop is what they also showed off, which has a really interesting
I knew you would
concept.
like that. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that is a Nick game.
I love
it.
An
absolute
that was a
Nick
standout.
game.
Well, just the art style of it, I dig. The fact that it's going for this 70s grindhouse, action motif is neat. But the idea that you're this guy who's stuck in a loop and you're trying to break your way out of it by killing, the 8 people in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And like the world is a huge party and they're all just trying to kill you. But like if they die, they don't die. So for everyone else, it's just a paradise where it's like everyone else is, hey, let's just party. And if we see this dude, just try to kill him. That's cool. And the fact that there's a multiplayer aspect to it where you are playing this assassin going around trying to survive and other players can jump in as a rival assassin to try to kill you. Again, I don't know what this game will be like moment to moment. Like it looks a lot like Dishonored, which is really cool. But it's Dishonored where another player can jump in at any time to hunt you down?
So, I mean, everyone was pointing out that it did look like Dishonored. It's made by the same company. Like, it is made by the same developers.
Which it makes sense, because, hey, Dishonored was also really cool.
Right.
Yeah. I was super into that game. That game looked like a lot of fun. And obviously there's going to be a speedrun aspect to that game. I mean, there wasn't just Dishonored, but I'm so into it. Like, it looks like an amazing experience.
I do love the, flip a guy into the wall, shoot him with a shotgun, and then flip him out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So any other ones that we want to mention that we haven't? We've already mentioned.
I think that's most of them.
Deathloop,
They showed off
Demon's Souls. We showed off something that is anybody going to be interested in this game?
Is it the one I'm thinking of? Yes,
Bug Snacks.
This was horrifying.
Yes. Disturbing on a very profound level. Not
fact that he eats the
multiple
strawberry,
profound level, and then he
his
turns
arm
into a
becomes strawberry.
Right. And does that mean that the new ones? That's where the new little creatures. It's like what?
So I wasn't sure about this game, but when it said from the creators of Octodad, that kind of told me everything I needed to know about it. Because Octodad was similarly like, if you think about it too hard, this is kind of fucked up, but also like this is really funny.
Yeah.
You're an octopus trying to pretend to be a dad and running from like a crazed cook who's trying to kill you. And in this one, the fact that you eat a bug and you become part of that food, that's what the bug is. And in the video, the guy says, "Hey, I was trying to carry a lamp with my weenie hands and I dropped it. Now the village is on fire."
Not again.
I think that tells you a lot of what this game will be like, in that it clearly doesn't take itself seriously. They they commissioned a upbeat pop song that's like bug snacks, do 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 do, bug snacks. Again, that tells you everything you need to know about it. I'm into a game that is, kind of goofy and cartoonish, and leans into that goofy cartoonishness for humor and doesn't take itself seriously at all, and kind of revels in the absurdity of its own concept. I don't know what it will be like playing it, but I want to find out. I like Bug Snacks.
Another one we didn't mention was this one. Astro's Playroom, which looks like a complete waste of time.
This didn't look like
about
really?
This is the one I was talking about. This didn't look like a VR game, but it's the VR characters that they made for the Playroom.
I thought you were talking about.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about the actual Astrobot game, because I think he did have a VR platformer.
Yeah, no, like the whole Playroom, the PlayStation Playroom before it got taken over for porn. Like
that was when you were a woman. That was day one. That's the only time I have ever been overtly sexually harassed. Like, I came on and I was a woman and 200 people jumped in and was like, take off your clothes. Kevin is sitting right next to me going, I'm not so sure about this PlayStation 4 thing. Never went into Playroom again. And
no, it was straight up it got closed down because there was a lot of people just straight up having sex on camera, and they were having to shut down far too many streams for that because it's meant for kids, and it was wrong. But yeah, just the fact that they took those mascots feels like just trying to use a mascot or an IP and being like, let's get something out of this. Let's do something.
All I do is see those, and I just see sexual harassment. I just literally, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah. No, Playroom, nope.
Okay,
no.
I forgot that was even mentioned in the stream. I think I might have missed it because it was a little fast.
No one cared.
No one cared, and no one should.
It also makes sense. Like, hey, Sony, they've got Sackboy and Astrobot. They've got their mascots.
Astrobot is the Pepe the Frog for sexual harassment and just completely inappropriate behavior.
They still need their Mario and Sonic.
Well, I mean, they also got Ratchet and Clank. It seems like they're building up the PS2 days of mascots again. They want that.
Yeah, action platformers. It looks like there's actually. I think we saw more 3D platformers in this stream than have been released in the past 3 years.
Probably. Yep. So another one that we didn't mention was Hitman.
I mean,
yeah.
I think they've perfected a kind of gameplay loop for Hitman that's just going to be good. If you're into it, you're going to be into it.
They didn't show off a lot about it, but having a level set in the Burj Khalifa, it seemed like a perfect location for a Hitman game.
I mean, yeah, if you're into Hitman, I think this is going to be fun. They've done a good job, with the series.
Yeah.
A quick transition is to I thought was
in the chat. We were talking about mascots. Mario, Sonic. PlayStation's trying to make Sackboy and Astrobot a thing. And in the chat, Coy Wallace says Xbox has got Milo.
Yeah, Milo got burnt the way that Astrobot is burnt. Yeah, definitely.
One of the sad things to me was, again, I was watching this on a live stream for GameSpot, and when Gran Turismo played, I liked that game. I played 3, I played 4. I have fond memories of the game, but I don't think racing games are in right now because the entire chat was just no, done, skip, no, it sucks, and the whole video of the actual racing, which looked beautiful, but racing games for years have looked gorgeous.
Right.
That it was just
it hit gorgeous way early, and then after that it's now it's just we've hit that level of it looks so gorgeous 5 years ago. We can't tell the difference between that gorgeous and this gorgeous. It's just
and
the only people that seem to be very excited about Gran Turismo is a very, very, very small demographic of fans, and the guys that are showing off the PlayStations because they can get the really expensive cards to put on the stage with them. Those are the only two people that actually care.
I mean, yeah, just racing sims have fallen out of style, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Hey,
actual simulation games. But it is for somebody.
Yeah,
It's
Gran
for
Turismo
somebody.
is it's a Sony thing. Like it's one of their famous games. So yeah, put out a new one. It's not
And
my type
again,
of thing, but sure. I got nothing
terrible
against it.
sound. Sorry. Terrible sound effects. But like the entire gameplay demo was just the sound of the engine going like the entire nothing else happened. It was just that sound for like a solid minute and a half. And the the chat was just like they were like remaking the sound in text the entire time. I don't think it was well thought out.
Maybe I should put on my LinkedIn that I was a voiceover, like a voice actor for Gran Turismo.
That's exactly kind of what it sounded like.
Right. I'm totally could be the voice actor for that.
Oh man.
Okay, so the last one that we haven't mentioned, so we might as well do it, is this
Returnal.
one.
Oh,
But
no.
did we not mention Returnal?
There's,
No.
there's
yeah.
two more.
All Stars.
Right.
This just looked like Twisted Metal in a new package without guns.
Oh yeah, I thought this looked like it could be goofy fun, especially if you like a destruction derby where you can get out of the car and like fight people and try to dodge cars trying to kill you. Like depending on how it plays, it could be really fun.
I could see myself playing this for like a week and then being done with it.
Right.
Like just you go through all the destruction, you have a lot of fun. I imagine it'll get a small following of like really dedicated players that if you get back on, they'll destroy you in every conceivable way.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks interesting and fun enough.
Yeah,
And
I totally play that.
And a game that I'm really surprised you didn't pick up on, or you didn't jump on, Nick, was Returnal. Returnal to me sounds like, at least with the way that she was describing it, was something that you would like. The fact that she keeps on going back to this world and like the world's worst Groundhog Day ever, where she keeps on going back, but things are slightly different each time. At least that's what the premise that is set up in the trailer.
I was telling another friend that between Outer Wilds, this, and Deathloop, we've got a whole, loop.
It's all about loops.
Is a loop is a new subgenre of game.
Loops are the new Nazis.
By the end of 2020, we're gonna loop.
Or
and,
wait a minute, no, loops are the new
shit,
zombies.
That's right. 2020 is going to loop.
Yes.
And we'll start all back over. We don't get 2021.
Um,
God, I hope not.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know much about this. It's from the makers of, what was the game that launched with PS4, like the side-scroller shooter where you had to rescue people? It's Housemarque. That's the name of the developer. And they make a lot of arcade shooter games.
Which just kind of looks like that's what the gameplay looked like.
And that could be really cool. I dig, sure, sci-fi with a supernatural looping element. That seems up my alley.
The cinematics for it, the cinematography reminded very much of Control. Like it looked like Control with like the close-ups of the face and the monologue. Like that's what I got from it.
So we talked about everything. We talked about Godfall. Oh, the other one the last one we didn't talk about yet was Solar Ash.
That looks like Journey to me. Like a
yes, that's
version
exactly what I thought. Was like, okay, there's your art piece where Journey was flower, and so this is the flower of this generation.
I don't know. It looked a bit more vicious than flower.
Well, it's got a scary side to it. That's what Journey was. Journey added kind of an element of danger to it, to the flower.
Considering
that
this
Journey.
This is from the makers of Hyper Light Drifter. I don't think it's going to be like Journey. I think it's going to be a hardcore, brutal action game like Hyper Light Drifter was.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that movement though. Like that alone, like could sell me on it. Was just that kind of ice skating, rollerblading like movement.
Mm-hmm.
I could play the game just for that because it looked nice. Like it looked like it could be fun. I don't know what the combat's like, but I mean, Journey didn't really have any combat. I don't think.
No.
But just kind of in style, it looks like Journey, and kind of theme.
And the last thing that we should mention, since we're being completionist on this one, and so that we can get the trophy, The game that absolutely nobody here gives a flying fuck about. NBA 2K1.
I
Oh,
actually
sweat
I wrote
game.
down I wrote down every
Sweat
game
game.
on a list, and I actually left this one off. I didn't even
Right.
think about it.
Right.
Well, because really, it's like all they showed is just, hey, look, we got cool sweat. We got like all sweat looks super realistic.
Pass.
So we mentioned bug snacks.
We mentioned bug snacks.
Also, you spelled bug snacks wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one word and it has an X.
We'll even show you it again. This incredibly disturbing video.
It's just because the strawberry seems somewhat sentient.
I
and
know
then
he's kind of cute, and she talks about how cute he is, a good-looking one, and then he eats it, and then this
It's horrifying.
Oh God, it is. It's horrifying. Funny
Hey,
or
you-
not, it's disturbing as fuck.
You remember at PAX, I think it was last year, when we started playing Viva Pinata
Mm-hmm.
in the apartment that we'd rented?
Yes.
Like, Viva Pinata's fucked up.
Viva
You're
Pinata
putting
is
all
very
these
fucked up.
putting all these animals in cages. You're forcing them to breed with each other. God, that family of worms was so incestuous. Like after a couple hours, it's just like, oh, you start with two.
I'm really surprised they all didn't look like meatloaves, because seriously, there was a very, very little genetic drift on that group of worms.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was fine because you breed them. Oh, here's your sister. You can name them, but then it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna feed you to him. I'm gonna feed you to him. It's like, oh, you cute little worms, and then you're just breeding all these animals to be eaten. So
Yeah, AC Wraith gets the completionist trophy for putting up every single link. That most of them I didn't actually put on the stream, but you can see them in the comments. Wherever you're listening, whether it be Spreaker, chat, Facebook, or on YouTube, you can see the links for all of these games so that you can see what we're seeing and form your own opinions. So he definitely gets the completionist for this one. So yeah, I mean, I would like to hit some more new. Well, let's hit one or two real news art items because they're kind of big news. PC Gaming Show had a bunch of stuff. We'll talk about it. I mean, it's too much to talk about right now. Summer sales. I already talked about that going on. Oh, Target has a buy two get one free sale going on, but I guess the biggest news is that I don't know if you read about what happened at Riot Games this week. So, where is it here?
Oh, for the people who are listening, we shook our heads and
It said that
no.
was a big, yeah, that was a bunch of like saucer eyes going, "Hmm."
I like to think the dead air expressed that.
Yeah. So Riot Games had their global head of consumer products, guy named Ron Johnson, made some tweets this week. He has resigned from his opinion because they were racist. He after someone saying that the murder of George Floyd by police was bad, he said it was caused by his, quote, criminal lifestyle. And Riot Games immediately jumped on. He says that he has announced that he has stepped down. Riot Games flat out said that they described his comments as abhorrent and against our values. And they released a statement saying that he's no longer employed at Riot Games. The sentiment expressed in the image in question is abhorrent and runs directly counter to our values and our beliefs that addressing systemic racism requires immediate societal change, something we're committing to working toward. To start, we're committing $1 million to areas that we know that we can help make an impact, including including justice reform, and $10 million in founders unrepresented in gaming industry or in the games industry, and helping create a future pipeline for underrepresented talent for the gaming and tech world. So yeah, when you represent a company, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Also,
Well,
yeah.
especially for a company with such a sordid history as Riot, it almost makes me a little
Yeah.
upset that they've put out that Valorant is apparently well, and I'm enjoying Legends of Runeterra because like they're still not a very good company to work for. Like
Yep.
they've said like, oh, we're trying to change, but it's kind of like Rockstar being like, yeah, no, we'll change our culture to not crunch, but it's like, well, let's see what it's like when the next game comes out.
Yeah, it's like League of
So
Legends
it's
saying we're trying to weed out the toxicity. It's like, you know,
yeah, and
that's
everything you've
not
heard
something.
about.
That's not weeds. That's the plant. That's what you planted. And
Yeah.
in Riot Games, it is so that kind of really horrific bro thinking is so endemic to that company that it's going to take a lot more firings. And it's not going to be the last time you see Riot Games in the news. I mean, they literally have to fire everybody and rehire everybody because it is so much a part of their culture that they let go for way the fuck too long.
I'm almost surprised he even said this, just because like this does not seem like a smart move for a CEO or like any top official. Like you don't comment
that's the
on this
culture.
at all.
Right. And
Like-
that's the thing. That's the culture of this is that when you are so blinkered to what society's norms are that you would say something like that on a account on Twitter.
AC Wraith in the chat.
What did he say? Oh God. Racy Wraith in the chat room says riot and racist don't make for easy Google searches. Look up Ron Johnson resigned. That would be a much easier search for what you're looking for.
Oh, he got it.
They are
Okay,
rather,
there we go. We got the link. Thank you.
They are rather unfortunately named company.
Yes, especially right now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when you're so blinkered to what is okay, that you would say something like that on a Twitter where you actually represent yourself as like it's not even like not a fake Twitter account. It's like your actual personal Twitter account identifying yourself as a ranking member of Riot. It says how fucked up Riot's culture is that you didn't even know that this was bad when you wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people just that what is so completely unacceptable by the rest of society is completely acceptable, or at least tacitly acceptable within Riot. And I think that kind of is being evidenced over and over again.
At the very least, they have a culture where you don't disagree with the top people. Like that can just get your job screwed over if they're being racist. You don't mention that they're being racist because they'll make your life hell or just fire you. So
right, or if they make a racist joke and they start laughing, you laugh with them. So that either you're silent and your silence is taken as agreement, or you're forced to laugh and it's agreement. So that you essentially people that are good people probably wouldn't work at Riot very long. When you have that kind of, that's the thing, is it's a self-perpetuating machine of racism and sexism and just all the awful things. When nobody checks it early on, all the people that would check it leave, go elsewhere and go, Riot's a terrible company. And all the people that are comfortable with it think, this is great. I get to say whatever the fuck I want. I get to grab tits and, do whatever. It's like, it's the whole Uber bro culture that is getting called out. That's the thing. When you let those people out in society, they say things. And it's slowly but surely, maybe Riot will fix its ways. But I think that this is more evidence that they should be taking to heart, that they've got a way bigger problem than just throwing some, sensitivity training at a bunch of bros. They need to fire the bros. All of them. Pist says, you wonder about anyone putting out that stuff. There's been so many people losing their jobs or expelled over them. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I feel like at this point, if you're a CEO of a company, just don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah, or just don't ever say anything that's not like PR approved. Like
go the Bobby Kotick route.
Right. Say just nothing.
Don't say anything.
Say nothing. If you're racist and you want to keep your job, say nothing, because racism's not okay. Period. The end. Bottom line. Either that or Start changing your ways. Trying to figure out why everybody's so upset and not from a point of because they're stupid. So,
There was
anyway.
one other
Oh.
big thing to talk about this week, which is
Yeah?
not necessarily. It'll be even bigger next week.
Uh-huh.
But the embargo has dropped for The Last of Us 2, and so the world has been flooded with reviews, and
Oh.
it's like you kind of expect from a Naughty Dog game. It had pretty universal praise. The one negative review I've read on Waypoint was interesting because they went on to express that like the gloom of the game was kind of overpowering, and that at a certain point, like Naughty Dog has said it's a revenge game, and the Waypoint was like it's a revenge game that it's a revenge story that doesn't really have much to say about revenge other than hey, guess what, revenge is bad. Of like the comment saying dig two graves when you go for revenge, and it's like okay, it kind of takes that idea and just keeps repeating it over and over again, you know? And that was their larger criticism, is that like it kind of makes the same point over and over again with just kind of escalating misery. And it's like you get to the end and you're like, okay, you've said nothing new. But then other reviews have been much more praiseworthy. And I've heard that like the spectacle of it and some of the set piece battles are really, really extravagant and intense. And I've heard in general, even all the praise reviews are like, this game is very intense. Like, it's hard to play for more than maybe 90 minutes at a time because it's just very difficult. I definitely want to pick it up. And just the fact that Last of Us 2 is actually coming out after God knows how many years of being hyped and 3 delays, it's actually coming out. So I'm looking forward to playing it. And if anyone wants to read about it, there is plenty to read about now.
Yeah.
Didn't the whole game get leaked online?
A lot of the story did, like not the game or anything, just like a lot of kind of the outline. Like a narrative outline of pretty much the whole script kind of got leaked.
Okay.
So if you want to look for spoilers, you could totally find those too.
So I'm not going to even do a banner for this, but just keep this in mind that this is going to be something that we'll be mentioning in coming weeks, if not next week, is that AT&T is in talks to sell Warner Brothers Interactive. So
I'm not even sure what IPs they have.
That why the DC movies are leaving HBO Max? Because
I thought the DC movies are leaving. Is DC Warner Brothers or is
yes,
DC? Okay,
DC's
yes,
Warner
then
Brothers.
probably.
Because
no, because it's it's Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. So Warner Brothers Entertainment's going to keep DC. This is Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, which is their gaming.
They're just selling the game company.
The game company for they're trying to get $4 billion for it.
That seems a little. That's a no. No.
I don't think they've done anything with like the DC universe as far as gaming goes, other than like the MMO and maybe the Batman games. But I don't know if they own the Batman. Like,
I don't know if they own it, but these are the studios that they would be getting rid of. The Rocksteady Studios, which did Batman Arkham. NetherRealm Studios, which did the Mortal Kombat series, Monolith Productions, which did the Middle Earth series, Avalanche Avalanche Software that did the Cars series, WB Games Montreal, and TT Games, which did the Lego series, and WB Games San Francisco. That would be some of them. So, according to sources familiar with AT&T's plans, the company's wishes, and I'm reading this directly out of phonearea.com. According to sources, the company wishes to continue to receive revenue from its IPs, including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Mortal Kombat, even after selling the gaming division, which means the deal might also involve some kind of commercial licensing in order to continue those games going.
Yeah, that 4 billion seems a little optimistic.
Well, maybe. There are reportedly 3 different companies that are sniffing about. It
I
would
mean,
be Take-Two, Electronic Arts, and Activision Blizzard.
Okay, so
Okay.
basically the
EA
3
is
worst
not gonna
companies.
EA is not gonna buy it. I don't think EA can afford to spend $4 billion at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Take-Two and Activision could, theoretically. But like Disney paid $4 billion for Star Wars. So like use
Right.
that as your baseline.
Right. That's
And
true.
then think that what was it? Disney also bought 20th Century Fox for $20 billion in a
Mhm.
super ridiculously overpriced, horrible deal.
Mm-hmm.
So like using those as your extremes, like $4 billion for these game companies, like not the IPs. They're not selling the DC IP, right? They're just selling these game companies.
They're just selling the gaming division.
Yeah,
And
that's
it doesn't sound
four-
like the IPs are with it.
$4 billion seems like it's a little optimistic.
Or at least not all the IPs.
Well, I mean, the whole Fox thing, I think that's more of a Disney willing to buy that just because they want
They just
all
didn't
of
want
those license.
I think they also just didn't want Comcast to have it.
Also, I mean, they just get like an amazing collection from like the Marvel side of things and a lot of properties that way. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like Warner Brother has been really using their gaming division all that much. But there is talent there. The stuff that gets put out has a following. It's good
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
So,
and so
I mean-
I hope that whoever buys them like can put those developers to good use, because yeah, there's some good developers there. But although that also makes me wonder, like Rocksteady, they haven't put out a game since Arkham Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's been a lot of speculation about what the next game would be. And if they're being sold, I wonder if they're working on a DC game and what that deal would then look like if suddenly the person that owns the IP of the game you're making sells your company
so it has to go to
to
somebody
another,
else. Right.
then are you taking that game with you? Or they, because if they're selling their entire game division, then apparently they don't want to be in the game making business anymore.
No, so I
They
imagine
want to be in
they
the
sell
licensing, and it's purportedly not
just-
selling the IP, so they're still
They
want to be
just
in the
want to do
licensing.
licensing in the same way that Disney is like, we don't want to make Star Wars games. We're just going to license this out to people.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, I mean, so I think those companies will still be able to make DC, Lord of the Rings if they want, Mortal Kombat. But, I mean, that's what they're buying. They're buying the right to make those games and profit off of them, but not necessarily owning those licenses. Which, I mean, you can make an argument that that's worth $4 billion, maybe.
I guess I thought they were just selling the game companies. They're not selling any sort of licensing.
I mean, they would have to. I mean, what would be the point of being able to make games with like Batman or?
Well, they
like,
might be
well,
selling
I don't know.
the games
I
with
feel
them
like
and the
that
profits to the
license-
actual games. But if they want to make future games, then they're going to have to make they're going to have to get a portion of the games retroactive as a licensing agreement.
Yeah, like I imagine licensing is a separate deal. They're trying to sell the studio, and like NetherRealms makes the Injustice games. So like NetherRealms gets sold to Take-Two. If they want to make another Injustice games, Take-Two would have to renegotiate what that looks like with Warner Brothers.
Or
Rant
they
game.
if they like say for example Arkham Knight, they can continue to sell Arkham Knight, but a portion of the profits on that have to go back to
I don't know. I imagine
AT&T
I don't know. I imagine Arkham
as
Knight.
a license to be able to sell this game.
I imagine for any old game, like that whole revenue would still go to AT&T Warner Brothers. I don't think Take-Two would get any cut of that.
I mean, it depends on what they negotiate. It's
I imagine
all-
some of the
it's all-
stuff's super complicated.
This is all up to negotiation. That I make this great invention and then I sell my invention making company to you, and I go, okay, yeah, no, you know, I make $100
got a
on
nice-
every time
nice
I sell it,
God
so
rays
you just
coming out
have
of
to
there.
give me $25 per sale. You get to keep the $75 on that.
And the chat, the
does.
sun's hitting at just the right angle. We got some nice lighting there.
It is. It does. It's definitely a Halo mode. The
It's-
actual thing, not the noun, not the game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
I
an
don't know.
overlay at all.
Warner Brothers is having some weird stuff going on in their whole licensing. Even with HBO Max, like the movies are leaving that platform weirdly quickly. I don't know,
All right. So
but
we've
yeah,
been
it's
at
been a
this for
while.
3 hours now, guys.
Yeah,
So
we had to
should
talk
probably-
about ESO and then a lot of PlayStation games.
Yep. So shall we close this out? This is, I think, possibly the longest show we've done in a really, really long time.
Sure, I have Destiny news, but no one cares about that. So
No, I have a ton of other news about chivalry that nobody cares about either. So, but let's, everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for listening. Future Life says, welcome to hour 25 of the podcast. Yeah, it's going
Edie's
on so
lost
long
a voice.
that I actually need another glass of water. So let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds episode. What episode is it, Nick?
Fuck if I know.
Episode 549. We recorded this on Sunday, June 14th, 2020. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith. Ways to get a hold of us. Gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. If you ever want to listen to us live, watch us live, first off, listen to us. We record every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. Join us in the chat room. Chat with us live. Is there anybody in that chat room today? No, because everybody is over in our... By the way, you can also download us or stream us after the fact on Spreaker or on iHeartRadio or on iTunes. If you listen to us on iHeartRadio or iTunes, please leave us feedback so everybody else can find us. And especially now that we're like new and refreshed and we got this new co-host over here. If you want to listen to us or watch us do the show, we are on both YouTube and Spreaker. Under YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, as in videos. On Facebook, we are the GameHounds. Please join us in the chat room. We had a ton of people today. We were all having a great time. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. Too many of you to mention, but thank you for listening. And of course, you can listen to us after the fact. And if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to us, and then hit the bell for notifications and let other people know that you're watching us and that you like us, because we would love to have more listeners. So get the notifications, get the subscriptions, and get more people. That's your job. Have a great week, everyone. Everyone, please be safe. Remember to wash your hands. COVID is real. It's still been around. It's been 30 days. It's still freaking out there. It's still just as virulent and could just as easily kill you as it had 90 days ago. So everyone, please take care of yourselves. Be good to yourself. Be kind to others, and understand we're all under a lot of stress at the moment. And we'll talk to you next week. Nick, Andrew, we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Are we out yet? Can I talk?
And we're out. Yes, you can talk. Okay.
Did it get me at the last second? I kind of hope it did.
No, you did not. I always mute you as soon as I'm done
I
talking.
do think
because Gully taught me to do that, because Gully couldn't shut the fuck up.
Forget Your Life had a good bit with a light. He said chaos goes back to creation.
yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still on the YouTube channel. So everybody on YouTube, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Eric Baker, Kaz, Andre, Miles Thompson, AC Wraith, of course, who is our link bitch. I didn't mention you today. I'm sorry. You did an amazing job providing all the links for everything, because this was not an easy show to do that for. We had Piss, we had Ryan Stevenson, Corey Wallace. Dude, don't. All right.
Yep, back to
Just
ESO.
Don't.
Yep.
Just please just give me some space. Go easy on me, because you
I've
just
got
don't
to.
want to. You will chase me off. Just give me a moment.
I should take more game recommendations from the chat.
You could. You should actually.
ESO turned out very very well.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord Dorcas.
Lord Dorcas. Yes. Yeah. If you do ever want to hook up with us, and I do air quote that, hook up with us on PlayStation. Nick is, you say your gamer tag?
Fuck if I know it. If you just look up Evil Alsop,
And it's
EV0L.
0L. Yeah.
I don't know. You should
Underscore
be able to find it.
ALSOP. It's awful.
Is there an underscore?
I believe so.
Okay.
But it's
I was-
EV0L is
Okay.
evil.
I was glad in like all the other things I've been able to sign up for, I just used like Alsop Live as the
Mhm.
account name. Like with Runeterra, I'm just that. With ESO, I was able to just do that. It's like,
Can you
okay.
change?
Why don't you just change your name to Alsop Live on PlayStation?
Doesn't it cost like $5?
It's free for the first one.
Is the first
Yeah.
one free? Maybe I will.
Yeah.
That's why I'm Lord Dorcas now, and I've been too lazy to go back. Yes,
Oh.
Lord underscore Dorcas. That's just how it sounds.
That's you on PlayStation?
Yes.
Yeah, I've changed.
He's no longer
I
Creation
thought it-
Chaos. He is Lord
Really?
Dorcas.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. He's Lord Dorcas now.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe I will have to go through.
And what is your description that you have in your profile?
who, me?
Yes.
Oh God, I forget the exact wording.
Who's your daddy?
Yeah, who's your daddy?
Which is so anti, like that is so not you. You're
know.
not a who's your daddy kind of guy.
I forget the joke that made me do that, but then I just forgot. So
Oh,
it's there.
yes. I
That's-
know Andre is AC Wraith. I'm sorry, I was just running through
That's the
names
best
as fast
type of
as I could.
screen name. One based on a joke you forgot.
And it's Lord Dorcas. Is it IS or AS? Dorcas.
IS.
It's Dorcas.
IS.
Okay.
Dorcas.
All right. I really have to go to the bathroom.
I mean, God literally came and told us to end, and now that we're ending, he
That's
left.
true.
He's right. His God was like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. So everyone in the chat room, thank you so for being here. We'll talk to you next week. And yeah, seriously, be safe. Wash your fucking hands.
Darth Dorcas, yes.
maybe that should be your next change. Darth Dorcas. I am Lord Dorcas. Come over to the dark side.
Who's your daddy?
Luke, I am your daddy.
I don't remember that scene going quite like that, but yeah.
All right. We will talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone. And be healthy, be safe. And you too, both of you guys. I need you guys. Don't fuck up. Don't fuck up. If you end up in the hospital, you're doing the show from the fucking hospital, dudes.
Okay, I'll just hold the camera above
Right.
me like
You
that.
just with the ventilator in and everything, you're just gonna have to talk around the tube.
We can make it work.
If
Yeah.
I
Get
blink,
the text-to-speech.
Yeah, there's no rest for you guys. Don't think that COVID's going to get you out of this show. So don't get COVID. All right, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Next Sunday. Bye.